It's a podcast.
Steam Powered Giraffe. It's the
Bennettarium. Oh yeah, we've got a lot to talk about on the podcast today. The Bennettarium. Oh boy,
hot dog.
Bennettarium. Yeah, that worked okay.
Yeah.
Could have used another verse.
There wasn't enough syllables. There wasn't enough verses to pass.
We should
around.
Do syllables next time.
I agree. Or stop in the middle of a sentence instead of completing the full sentence.
Welcome to the new year, everyone.
Whoa!
Welcome.
2020 is definitely the future, and there's jetpacks available currently.
We should point out that we're recording this on December 30th. For our Patreon patrons.
So hello, future
we have to
selves.
pretend like it's the new year.
We don't have to pretend anything. We're choosing to.
It's just going to be a little bit more easier. More easier? Easier.
Yeah. Most easiest, I believe, is the correct term you're looking for. It's the future. Bunny, get with it.
So, this is the last podcast episode. There's an English teacher just tearing out their hair right now.
Well, actually, the decade started in 2001. There was no 01010. Hey, you know what? Here's the thing: is like if that's the truth, if the truth is like decade starts in 1, why does everybody keep on like just letting the decade be at the 10? Why doesn't some adult step in and be like, no, nobody celebrates the decade now. We gotta wait until next year. I feel like if it's the common,
but there was a 0. We just weren't counting.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But that's the well actually.
That's more of a technically going off of the numbers, but as the human experience, there
Blame
was a 0.
it on our dumb calendar.
I mean, there was lots of years before there was a calendar. That's the thing. There's a whole lot of years, and then someone like eventually, after lots of years, they're like, "Hey, we should start recording these days."
At least 2 years. They reached 0, and then they were like, "Oh crap, we ran out of numbers. Let's go negative and take the negative off." Welcome to the Bennettarium, the podcast where we just talk about whatever we want. But it is from the creators of Steam Powered Giraffe. It's called the Bennettarium because 2 of us are named. Well, okay, so here's the thing. It's like when we created it, Sam was leaving, so he was still on the podcast.
What?
Yeah.
That's not true. Were you the Bennettarium?
Yeah.
No.
He did. He. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How long has the Bennettarium been on?
A little bit before you came.
October 2016.
Really? I thought it had been going for a while before.
No.
So yeah,
I guess I wasn't paying attention until I showed up.
Well, we didn't have you on the podcast until we had that episode with you and him.
It's yeah.
So
weird.
So we named it after ourselves because we were like
the
ones that stay. Let's brand it. We didn't want to do a Steam Powered Giraffe podcast because we wanted to talk about. I mean, for the first 3 episodes, we talked about nothing but VR and a sandwich machine or something.
I mean, my last name also starts with a B. I feel like it could have fit. It could have fit.
If we could just change the name of the podcast. If you want to pay the $9, we'll register a new web address.
The Bennett Barberum. The Barbara Editum.
Ben Barbatarian.
Bennett Barbatarium. That's great.
The Barbatarian. What's the a gymnasium? How can I fit that together? Barber and gymnasium. Barbasium.
It's just called the Peniac Show.
The Peniac Show.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
A pretty cool last name.
I'm Isabella Bunny Bennett, and I play Rabbit in Steam Powered Giraffe.
Yo, I'm Brian David Barberin, and I play Zero in Steam Powered Giraffe.
Hello, I'm Chelsea Penyak, and I play a Walter Worker with Steam Powered Giraffe.
Did you have a British accent there? I was going to say something.
I said hello.
But I decided to just...
I'm Zero in Steam Powered Giraffe.
To not call it out. A little cockney there.
I said Michael Caine in myself.
You're one of those people.
We went down in...
Some people just want washed away burn. I've never...
What's the point of all those push-ups if you can't push up a flaming log on your chest? Is that the line? I'm pretty sure that's exactly...
Oh, you were forged in the darkness, but I was born in it, Batman.
No, you weren't. Surprise.
I'm Anne Hathaway.
You meant nothing. Bane, you meant nothing. Shh, be quiet. I had to listen to you talk the whole time, but you were nothing. You were just a pawn. Sorry.
My name's Dave Michael Bennett, and I play the spine.
Do the voice. Do the voice.
You know which one. You know which one.
Not the one you're thinking of, but that one.
When?
There it is. The famous voice.
Come on, bring the funny, Laffy.
That was great. NBC's Bring the Funny.
Does anyone watch primetime television
No,
anymore?
no. I
No.
think that it's finally like, well, people do, but like nobody who matters.
No one that I know.
No, I'm kidding.
What's not in my sphere of
relevance.
what's television? Is that like a Netflix or any one of my various streaming services?
You'd think that it'd be a big boost, like being on television or something like that, but it's really, really
Not anymore.
It's not. I know.
Yeah.
I follow two guys from that show because they're really good. The Chris and Paul show. There's like great like old school like they did a lot of nonverbal skits and stuff like that. They're really good. But like they're on the show for like I can't remember how show it was like three months or something like that. They made it like the finals and they're like nobody cares. I'm like what?
Yeah.
Why nobody cares? Why? Why? They were so good.
For like the first 10 years of us doing this, we had a lot of people just saying, "You guys are just so dumb for not going on America's Got Talent." And like, do you know how many phone calls we got from America's Got Talent? Like they will take anyone.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
you sign. You look at the contract and you're like, "Oh, we're gonna not have. We're not gonna be able to perform."
Yeah,
for like
a
2
long
years.
time.
Yeah.
So you have to like go off and do something else.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's not like it's not.
We
that
would
long. It's not that financially long.
Mm-hmm.
done.
Well, some America's Got Talent, I think, is specifically one of those that's like, it's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah.
Don't.
I mean, it was tantalizing. It's nice to be recognized or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like,
But a lot of those people or places are just using you to
Exactly.
like
Yep.
because they don't have any ideas. So like I don't have any ideas. So like Songland is like, oh yeah, just bring your song ideas to us, and then we'll give them to somebody else. We'll give them to somebody else. And I was like, what? Like, are people going on this?
How
Are
is
people
that
want
fair?
to do this?
Yeah.
Like,
we should be a little flattered because they were like, oh, you don't have to audition. You can just go right into the. Yeah, but
That's nice.
you a
That's
fake
cool.
audition or whatever.
Who knows?
But the thing that we should point out is that they pretty much have contacted us every single year, and we got one like a few weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going? Oh my god.
We always talk to them.
going?
We always
No.
talk to them and like, well, has the exclusivity contract? No. The first year that they asked, we said we questioned like, hey, we can't do this because of this, and we had some performer friends who were in it, and they were like, they couldn't do this act for a while, and they had it seemed like they had a more lenient contract, but it's all different people every year. So I think the thing is, and you know, feel free to be the opposition to this, but
I will.
I feel that entertainment artists shouldn't have to go on a
Yeah.
on a GD game show, where it's dumb. It's
Well,
like
it's just,
you get to be famous
Yeah.
and you get to be famous.
Yeah.
It's like what? That's a terrible way to. You can only be famous. That's it. You have to be mega famous or you can't do
Yeah,
art.
yeah.
Like
But
that's so
weird.
dumb.
It's not even being famous. Like I know so many people who have been on TV, like because
Yeah.
like reality TV shows and game shows and stuff like that just make it available. So everybody's the star, you know, everybody's the star. So nobody. So it's like the first American Idol was like, oh my goodness, like this is the first like American. Was it Kelly Clarkson? Kelly Clarkson, she's still around. See, Kelly Clarkson, she was still around. Even like what Carrie Underwood. That's pretty much like the
Sure.
last one that
Yeah.
anyone remembers. And now, like, I mean, how many people have won The Voice? There's like 3 seasons of it
Yeah.
per year, and I can't tell you a one of them. I can't tell you a one of them.
I'm sure they get. It isn't a way to get exposure.
Oh,
But
100%.
for
100%.
For us, it was never an option. Like I think it never
Oh,
made.
made.
I mean, who wants to be known as a band that?
No,
made it?
that's
And why?
that's the stigma that I think is like the biggest thing. It's
We'd
like, who wants
rather
that attached to them?
make our own things that we're attached to. Like we're that honeybee band. We're that.
Yeah, at least we
Sam,
can be
Sam
embarrassed
Robot.
about
Sam
our
Robot.
own thing.
There's a couple of contestants that never made it. Like what's his name? Prince Poppycock or whatever. Like you know, there's some interesting like acts and stuff that people would probably still follow because they're just so
Yeah.
weird that we're on that show.
Yeah.
But like. Well,
e-,
it's
each
just
their
own. I mean, no, I
Yeah,
think it was
for sure.
mostly the financial issue, and now going forward, it's like I can't see it happening.
Yeah, it's just that media and entertainment. Is
But also, like, it's kind of it would be
drastically.
weird for us. We're a niche band, but like, it's not like we are still kind of making a living doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not just. You know, we're not just some untapped talent or something.
Yeah.
I mean, some people could say that if they're like, you got to be bigger or something. But like where we are right now, like it's keeping me busy my whole
sure,
year.
for
And
sure.
so I don't know, like, you know, like it'd be weird we have a following, and now we're going on a show to like get more exposure. It just seems like a very weird thing to do. Plus, it was really hot in that room with all the executives, and they all had horns, and that was a little suspicious. America's got suckers. But no, we've only gotten phone calls and emails, and mostly emails. They're all real nice though.
That's right. No, it is. It's a very flattering thing.
We have been contacted by other companies or stations like we did. We have been on the news a couple times locally and doing random things.
That didn't do anything for us.
No.
We
That's
did
that's like your grandma will say what's
Yeah.
up. Like, I saw you on the news. You're like, oh, thanks, grandma.
Yeah, that American Idol. thing.
Yeah. We
Oh
had one
yeah,
of our
someone sang your
songs on
song.
American
Yeah.
Idol.
But did they do a bad version of it? Was it a bad version or was it a good version?
I don't think it was.
Was it
very
bad
good.
touch or good
I don't think
touch?
it was very good.
Well,
They-
I mean-
Well,
they
the
didn't-
problem is it's
they didn't
reality
go on.
TV,
Yeah.
and it's like they set out to
It was a
make
very-
it a joke.
It's one of my least favorite
segment.
It
Well,
was like
'cause- yeah.
30 seconds maybe, and so they didn't even. The song is not recognizable. I don't think.
It's
I
a-
mean, they talk about it like the people who did it, but
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
it wasn't long enough. If it was long enough to get us,
Yeah.
it was cool though.
It's
I mean,
just it's
cool that they did
yeah.
it. Like real. Cool.
Those things are just frustrating to me because people spend their whole lives dreaming of this kind of stuff, and then they show up to something like this, and they're kind of a joke, and people
Yeah.
will pass them through 8 auditions where they're like, "Oh, I must be good," just to put
Yep.
them on TV and humiliate
It's-
them.
it's
and I feel
horrible.
like that's
It's horrible.
what a terrible, what an awful thing to do to a human being.
Well, it's
and
also,
just like,
and it's very possible they could frame us as the joke band. It's like, totally. You could make anyone the joke.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you're a decent singer, like if you're just kind of like mid-range or pretty talented, like you're not gonna get on the show.
yeah, there's
They're looking for the prodigies and the people they can make fun of.
Yeah.
My friend did it, and she's a musical theater gal, and like she was like, yeah, I did one audition and then they turned me away because like I wasn't one of the extremes.
Middle of the pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, having most of those. We were on. I was gonna say Hoarders, but we weren't on Hoarders. We were on what's that show? I don't even know if it's going. It was on Discovery Channel or
Yeah,
something.
Oddities.
What's that
San-
show?
Oddities San Francisco.
Law and Order or something.
We were the
We were on some show, I don't
We
know.
were the corpses. We're really
Forensic
good
File.
at playing corpses under sheets. Pantomime and stuff.
Oddities.
Yeah, we were on Oddities San Francisco, and that was very telling of like how reality shows. It was fun. It was fun to film. You film 2 days in one day, and you change clothes, and it's all like
It's a brand new day here.
It's
Here we are.
it's all like phony, but it was fun and like it was definitely an experience. And I think then I remember saying to David after really like they got us a limo back to the airport, and that felt cool. And it was like we didn't get any money in anything, but we had fun. And I remember saying to David like this like I think we're like pretty talented. Like it felt like we were just on, and like it definitely gave me like confidence that we could survive on television or in any media.
For sure.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, they're all. It was definitely like not that we were nothing to. I mean, if you were on that thing, you would be like you'd have the crew like rolling the whole time.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like they bank on people with personalities.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's what they feed off of. They're like, oh, we don't have any ideas, but this random person, they look fun, so let's put them in a situation, and then like it's a situational comedy, and like, and that's I feel like you could exploit your own self. You don't need to be like I don't need to be exploited by anybody. Lord knows I don't need to
But
be
it was like
exploited.
it was a one-off thing, and it was like the directors of those shows. It's literally just a job for like it's just a
2
paycheck.
days
It's a paycheck
for sure, for sure.
And they're on to their next thing.
Yeah. But it's also good to see that side of it and see what's up with it. So you know how to make.
Oh,
your
it's so fake
decisions
too.
and
The
stuff.
shop and stuff. It's like it's not a shop.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not.
No. Oh, and speaking of money, I think the most money we've ever made was that 15 seconds our song was on American Idol because they without like there's no just. They basically buy it out for syndication because like they're not going to use you if you don't.
No.
So they just say, oh yeah, we can use this and any songs we might use in your freezer catalog because they never will. But they just basically get you on board if you're an independent publisher or whatever. So it wasn't much, but it was. I'll just say it was more than some shows we play.
If you want to go on America's Got Idols, you just make sure you sing a SPG song
And just either sing it really good or really bad.
don't matter to us, but because
But anyways, it's super flattering, like that people wanted to choose our song.
Yeah,
to sing
100%.
And they sang Automatonic Electronic.
weren't they were a sibling duo,
That'd be a
right?
tough.
It
Oh,
was-
it's a duo.
yeah.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah,
that'd be a tough song to
they
do
were
by
very
yourself.
kind-hearted and sweet, and like it's cool. It's very cool. Like all this stuff is really cool, and it's cool to be like considered.
For sure.
But I don't know. Like
I mean, it feels way better when like something
something you release just kind of has its own momentum, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So Honeybee was like that. I think Brass Goggles, stuff like that. I think some of our new songs are
Yeah,
like that
for
too.
sure. They got some momentum to them.
Speaking of new songs, by the time you hear this podcast, if you're not a Patreon patron already and listened to it in the past,
2 new songs.
Yeah, but even the Patreon patrons have seen this, so
they have seen.
So it's
most of them have seen both.
so.
yeah.
It's,
think.
so. Everyone's on the same page right now in the future,
Yes.
and also right now in the present.
If you haven't, then maybe you should watch the video because we're going to talk about it a little bit.
Wait,
videos.
The
I should
yeah,
say.
$10 Patreon patrons get early access to any of our new music videos a few days early, which is pretty cool because you get to keep
Yeah.
it secret for a few days, and that's kind of fun.
And I'm sure we have some new patrons today. We've seen
Oh, yeah.
increase.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
joining. We
Great.
I think you're going to really enjoy the content. Like David and Chelsea have been working up Storm on this, and it's great. It's real fun.
Yeah, we try to keep it as packed as we feasibly can while keeping working, and we've adjusted it. In fact, our Patreon's a little over a year old. In
Yeah.
October it was a year or so.
Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
But December is when we kind of really stepped it up and kind of had a format that we kept with for a while.
Yeah.
So I like where it is now. It seems just the amount of work that we can kind of
Handle
do
and
and
without
do
being
shows and
distracted.
stuff.
The first month where we were like, we'll give you a gilded toilet seat that we sat on.
No,
it was a little much.
We started super low because we didn't know that anyone would do. So we were like, oh yeah, we'll do a voice chat
Video,
with everyone
yeah.
Video and voice chats.
it was like
Yeah.
$10, $15.
We did songs for a bit. Like we were like writing songs.
Oh, yeah.
We were like, wait, hold on. We're writing too many 2-second
yeah.
songs.
The problem was that there's way too many people who wanted to.
I know.
So we had to keep pushing stuff up higher because we
Well,
we couldn't get
that's
to
flattering.
we couldn't get
It's
to 20,
flattering.
20 people in a.
It
Yeah.
was fun too.
But when it started becoming Patreon was the job now, and it was like the whole idea is to fund our endeavors. Now it's more like that, and there's a lot of content.
Well,
you can see what we're
it was
working
supply
on.
and demand. So now we know we have the voice chat stuff with the band like at a higher tier, and I mean I would never say that's worth whatever people are giving us to do that, but like feasibly we can only
Yeah.
chat with like 10 people at a time usually. So
Very true.
So yeah, but there's plenty other benefits on there. There's even a $1 tier if you only want to hear what we're working on once a month, which is like perfect for some people. So we're super grateful. Our Patreon keeps growing, and we're so excited to have a bunch of actual things that we created because of the Patreon's help. We have 4 music videos now, 4 song releases that is going to be in our new album. I guess we should reiterate that because it's been like
Totally.
a few months since
Yeah,
we even said
absolutely.
what our plan is.
We have 4 new songs, 4 new music videos, guys.
So we're releasing this next album in batches, so double singles every 3 to 4 months. And we've already just released our second batch, so it's going to go on until next year. Our next album will most likely be sometime in the winter, and it'll include all these songs that you're hearing on singles and then some. We're going to do acoustic versions of all the songs, so there'll be like 2 different versions of each. So it'll be like worth buying the album again, which is our kind of our whole plan with that. But we're doing music videos for every song, well, mostly every song, but all the ones that are the mainstays on the album. Like if we have any. Well, we have a Patreon song that we're probably not doing a music video for, but that one's like, oh, you patrons get your name in a music video, or in a song, I guess.
Yeah, I mean maybe
That's another tier.
we don't want to promise anything. It just because obviously that's a little further out. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the idea is that we're gonna get
We have
a song for
a
you
song
guys.
that's going to include all. Well, right now it's 14 people, so
yeah.
if you want it,
If you want to be in that
if you want
song,
to challenge us.
How many verses can we do?
there might be a music video. Never say never. You never know.
But we've been doing the one where patrons get their name at the end of music videos. You get them in 2 every if you're in between the window that we do it. So so every music video
you don't get to choose the robot that says your name.
we just
Oh.
have both whatever 2 robots are doing the songs that come out. We duplicate it. So
I wonder, like, is it going to be if we have Gigi read one? Is that going to be? Are people going to be
Confused.
PO'd? Like,
I don't think
what? Gigi? Some people would be very excited.
and
Just
then-
us.
and speaking of all those benefits, I mean we don't need to keep touting our Patreon, but we also have there's benefits for getting your name just in the album booklet. So that's kind of cool because
we're going to tout it. You sign up for that Patreon. It's good. Go do
Get
it
your
now.
touts.
Drop what you're doing.
Get your
Drop that
tout
hot
out.
plate of food that you just got from Arby's and
Oh,
just
but I just made it.
run home to your
Oh,
computer.
boy.
Run home, Charlie.
But my roast beef.
We also have acoustic live streams that we do every month. So if you'd like to hear us play a few songs that we might be working on for the live show, or just sometimes we bring up old songs that we still know the harmonies to and stuff, and do those. Because our set list is changing year to year, so that's always fun. And all this stuff is archived too. So there's 6+ years of all this stuff now. I can't even remember. That's probably an old number, but it's Patreon. It's like it's a stupid amount of content to look through because we've moved everything from our Engineer a Tier program, which was our Patreon thing before Patreon was a thing, and we still have that one going too. So it's kind of like cross-posted, but Patreon has those extra benefits. But it's like 340 some odd posts, videos.
The truly obsessed know where the treasure is hidden.
I mean, I've seen some people go through it in a weekend, so there's definitely
there's a lot. There's some dare I say cringy stuff too, just because some of those early days on our before Patreon back in before the Engineer Tier stuff.
We have some high school stuff that we've posted in there.
Oh no,
is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm just there's just some moments I remember, like when John left and stuff. There's some I was like early trans. There's a video that's kind of awkward and I don't know.
I mean, that's the benefit of having videos.
I think they're awkward. There's a couple awkward videos here and there.
They just sit there forever and wait for you to look back at them and be like, why did I film that?
Right?
Why?
I can't watch.
Why can't I delete that?
After a week, I'm embarrassed of what I did. And I can't watch
imagine me who I've had to move the Engineer Tier site.
I know. You gotta watch it
so
all.
You have to keep looking at it.
I've had to see it that many times so far.
We make sure that he keeps his eyes open and watches every single video.
But with Patreon, Patreon's not going anywhere, so I think it's kind of the place to keep most of this
we
stuff.
started on something called I don't think it's around anymore.
No, it is.
Patronism?
Patronism.com.
And it preceded Patreon.
And then we moved to StubHub, which was weird. Or no, SubHub. StubHub's a ticket thing.
SubHub.
And that
which is also the American Dad Subway.
They pay they pay you in Subway sandwiches.
But it's so, and that was like, it was kind of like a do it your own self kind of subscription website, and then we were like, we should just be using WordPress. So then we moved the Engineer Tier site. We moved it over to a WordPress site because we could just do it.
And this was before Patreon was a thing.
And that one went. I mean, we currently have like 5,000 people there, but they're all inactive mostly. There's a few hundred people who are still on the Engineer Tier site, and we still keep posting content to it, just same as the Patreon
until
stuff.
everyone's gone.
But Patreon, it just made sense after a while because it got so popular, and we're like, we should probably. So we did that last year,
and it has helped. I think
it's actually upped how much content the Engineer Tiers are also getting. So it's like it feeds us because our idea is, hey, help us with Patreon, and we're gonna put out this next album, and you're gonna get all these songs. And
it coincided very well because the content is just always coming.
The wave releases we thought was a good idea because we want to do an album drop, but.
Where we just, out of the blue, we have an album and all these music videos, and you didn't have any anticipation.
Beyonce.
But the problem with that is, like, people consume content so fast. Like, when you release an album, it's like, it might be popular for a month or so within your own community or whatever, but...
It's forgotten about.
and then they're like, okay, when's the next album? Wait 2 more years. Like, so I think a slow trickle of stuff, it keeps people, like, a little more interested, maybe invested more, but...
We're only 4 songs in, but it's feeling good. I mean... I like it.
Plus, it just gives that focus to each song. Every song gets a chance to kind of shine.
Yeah.
And that's easy to get an album and be like, oh, where's the single? Where's the single at? Okay, let's listen to that, and then maybe I'll listen to the rest of it later. But it's like
there's so many songs.
But what about all these other songs?
I mean, if you're a fan, you're gonna digest the whole album anyways. But most people are gonna see Honeybee, Brass Goggles, maybe AH.
There's so many good
Diamonds.
There's so
that's
many
about
good
it.
songs in Steam Powered Giraffe that aren't common knowledge, which is sad, which is a shame, but that was kind of where the industry was at that time, and what are you gonna do?
So the power of the people, put the power in the fans' hands. If people want to see stuff from us, then that's how we'll make our living, sort of. Totally. And if they don't, then it'll be obvious.
Since New Year, and we were planning to do a retrospective, I thought maybe we'd talk about the 4 music videos just briefly, maybe the 2 new ones a little bit more.
We haven't as of this recording, we haven't released Transform, which you already kind of know is coming out. Patreon patrons, but everyone who's listened to this already has seen it.
Yes.
So we don't know the reception to that quite yet. But the other 3 that we released this year have been stellar.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did we? I'm sure we talked about the previous 2 music videos already.
Yeah,
But just to reiterate,
September we had a Bennettarium.
So the first one was Shattered Stars, which is Brian's song. Brian's first song, actually recorded
Absolutely.
and released, and cute little music video making use of the shrine and
some
locations.
my spaces, and then did some like old timey Laurel and Hardy kind of stuff.
There was a lot of shoot days.
It was a lot of shoot days. Well,
we got a lot of stuff that we could use for it, and then we slammed it together.
It was the first one, so it had all of the mistakes in it.
But even just for filming like yeah stuff, like a few weeks and months later, like everything just kept improving because we kind of
Oh, yeah.
it was the
of
first
course.
time using the editing software because I've never used DaVinci Resolve before, but I've used Final Cut and Adobe Premiere, and same with shooting in RAW and stuff. So a little different shooting in 4K, 30 frames, 24 frames.
I think we're getting better. I think we're learning very quickly.
Well, it's also like you like planning it out, like learning and planning out a little bit better. So, a little experimental stuff, but it all came together in a nice little cohesive.
Yeah.
Land of Maltarum, we had the demon makeup for the Peniacs.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a fun thing to throw in
And
there.
That was super fun.
I think actually Mr. Piscato was filmed actually before the part where he's in Shattered Stars, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
wait,
pretty
no.
sure.
But the idea for him was
I'm pretty sure we shot Mr. Piscato in for Shattered Stars after, because I wasn't there and we had already established the costume.
What music?
you
video
might
are
be
talking about?
right. You might be right.
Lats of Maltarums was the first appearance of Mr. Piscato, even though Shattered Stars came out first.
Because
Yeah.
we had that second filming
Yes.
day
Well,
way later. You're right.
We were filming them. I wouldn't say every other, like taking turns with them, but
Yeah.
they were pretty much being filmed in parallel.
Yeah.
almost.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Because the Shattered Stars footage with me and Camille and Steve and Mike, all the non-robots, that was filmed way later, like in September,
Yeah.
and that was the day that we did the Mr. Piscato footage for
Totally.
Shattered
Yeah.
Stars.
Totally, because we already did that big, like all of the lamppost stuff.
Yeah, that was like in June, I
Yeah.
think.
And
Love
then
that stuff.
They're like, we need to fill it out with some like usable shots.
That was
It was so
fun.
dark.
It was
So
right after Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Me and Camille were like, no,
Gosh.
don't put the makeup on again.
Well, there's a little bit of overlap with some of the stuff that we work on. I mean, almost all the songs on the album we already have something already down. Like most of the harmonies are pretty much figured out already, and mostly the tempos and stuff too.
Yeah.
So even like the songs that, even though we were working on those 2 songs, there were still days where I was working on the next.
oh,
batch.
for sure. Well, it's not.
So-
You do the releases like a week after. It wasn't not like you released Shadow Stars.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
work on Latin Altar, and then
So-
it's like we had to work on both of them.
So even though we say release in 3 to 4 months, that's just like where we put the release days, and then we figure out how we're working on each of them in between. I'm sure you could figure that out anyways by yourself. But speaking of the newest songs, Hot on the Trail and Transform.
Yeah, it's hot, baby. It's hot.
So as right now, Hot on the Trail like has 100,000 views, which is really good.
For 4 days.
Oh, gosh.
For less than a week.
4 days.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The momentum. picking up.
It's just good because it's just a complete different change of pace from all of them. Even like even with the 2 new songs, which is good because it keeps that like eclectic sound of the band. It's like you don't really know what you're gonna get. Like
Yeah.
I know we were like a little bit, I wouldn't say concerned, but we were probably aware that these 2 songs are probably going to be the most polarizing.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're very personal songs.
For sure.
As you can see. I mean,
we know people like Honeybee, so we kind of knew like, well, if they like somber stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People don't like funny robots, but they definitely
No,
like serious
no,
robots.
no.
I mean, there's always going to be those somber ballad type songs.
Totally.
I was gonna say I can't go on. I can't remember. I'll think about what I was gonna
No,
say.
it's just good. It's just good. Like from my perspective,
we only have Steam Powered Draft to kind of compare to, anyways. So we're
Yeah.
like, so when I look at other videos, I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, some of these videos have already surpassed like some of our more the easy videos.
Yeah,
like
totally.
we have some music videos that weren't really meant to be like, oh, these got to be big. Like the Sog X kind of one is literally like a joke.
Yeah.
just me standing there.
Well, for this week, the music
That's not a
videos.
joke. That is, there's nothing joke about that.
Like there's a few of those music videos where we put them out because we wanted something.
Of course.
To do.
It was also like kind of funny as like just like an in joke. Like I don't know if anyone else found it as funny, the Salgaxicon concept, but I found it entertaining because it came right on the heels of Overdrive, which took forever to edit and shoot, and so like Salgaxicon dropped right after.
Well,
and it was like
it
the
was one of
complete
those-
opposite, where it's like super minimalistic.
Knowing that Sam was leaving and stuff, we were just trying to like let Quintessential have as much as we could do.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Should we
That's cool stuff.
should we like go through the year? Should we recap?
Let's recap this year because obviously we know we've been working on music videos, but the year starts in January, and I
Sure
guess
does.
we didn't really announce that we were working on like how we were doing this album stuff.
Yeah.
until-
We're gonna have to come back to those music videos because we didn't get to talk about anything.
Yeah, it's very true.
Those two music videos. There's so
They're
much
on
that you
here.
could talk about.
Yeah.
So in January, we did our Echo Engine show.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
That was like where we usually have like a loose plot with some of our shows, and this one
was,
had
it was a little bit more than a loose. I mean, it was very loose for sure, but like it had more. There was more to it.
Yeah.
There's some things that had to be said.
There were some great jokes in that one.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't. Apparently, it was really hard to do. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why, but it was an attempt to try to do a one-off that would hopefully inspire or just try to make our the narrative of our show a little stronger.
Yeah.
But it was kind of on the extreme side. Like I don't think we ever anticipated to do that show.
Again, or
I mean,
or,
we were open to the idea, but after we did it, it just seemed too hard or too much work.
Doing a show that technical needs rehearsals, so and like not and we have rehearsals like personally, but like to do it in the actual place and like rent out a theater like a week before to do that kind of stuff would be it's too much. It's way too much to do. So
also I feel like it does not help us grow our audience. I think it's more more for fans.
It's a little more polarized.
Well, what if because like you can't tour with that more than like a couple times because or you could maybe do it like 1 or 3, 4 times, but then people are gonna be like, okay, this is a very specific plot,
they
and you just
know
keep
what
doing
happens
because our show is supposed to be that the robots, we rehash jokes and everything, but it's kind of in that realm that the robots are kind of pre-programmed, but each show is unique, so like. That show would just totally.
It was way more
null that.
scripted than a usual show.
It's kind of like our 10-year anniversary show. Like we can try to make it as much as accessible as possible, but the fact of the matter is we have 2 hours to fit in all these old performers, and you kind of have to know what you're getting into. And I don't really think. I mean, that's okay for like every once in a while, but I think like our Walter Robotics Expo, like if we did that kind of thing, like it's still our show, but it's kind of it feels like. And you have to be in the know.
Yeah.
And we don't really do that with our show. We try to make it like if you have never seen us before. I mean, some people might be like, I don't know what was going on, which is probably just us being robots in general and whatever relationships. But we don't really have any in jokes that you have to know.
And even that show was because I had a lot of people who came for the first time.
Oh, me too.
To see that show,
Yeah.
and it was enough of a. It wasn't like too deep into the lore. Like what we explained was part of that show, and I think people were able to follow the loose storyline there. So, there is something to just doing something a little different every once in a while. I don't know.
We just did our December show, which was usually it's the longest show because contracts, and it's also just one of the funniest because we're done with the year, and it's like it's the last version of that set. Pretty much, we always go in and redo a bunch of stuff.
Well,
every year.
we're making jokes on stage that we're basically contractually obligated to go 2 hours. I think we started sneaking those in after a while.
I mean, it's just been
because
long
imagine
year.
we're taking our normal show, we're adding one holiday song and some bookend holiday stuff, and even that's not enough to space out 2 hours. Our show is normally an hour and 30 minutes, and we try to make a 2 hour show, but realistically, like we know that an hour and a half is a good show length.
But I didn't want to diverge too much into the future. I just wanted to say it, like the parallels between Echo Engine and the December show. It's like conceptually, like we didn't anticipate the December show being it just somehow I don't know, like what we did was so perfect because there's a very loose plot, but the most interesting thing is the banter and like the comedy, and it's like suddenly it's like we're creating stories out of nothing on stage, and like that's where the magic happens. That's where it's like and so like I feel like going forward we might push that more.
I mean, we get feedback from people who come to our San Diego shows and even the Bakersfield shows, and there was a few people who said they saw both and they're like, well, I really like the Echo Engine, but this show was way funnier. And that's, I mean, I know canned bits can be funny for sure. We do this a lot of those too, but I think,
we're all live performers. We don't need a script. We really don't.
I mean, it's not saying that a script doesn't make a good show
either.
But I think for us, it's like,
and the Bakersfield show really leads into improv. Like it's like, all right, well, and now improv time. Like, go ahead. Like, you gonna start a song? No, you're not gonna start a song. It's time to stretch it out.
Plus, I mean, we're kind of taking what musicians do anyways, but just like trying to make it even more theatrical. Like, I mean, a lot of a musician might have a set list, but like their banter to the audience, the ones that actually do interact, like, it's kind of off the cuff sometimes. So, so I think having that in our show has just been kind of a staple of it anyways. So
Echo Engine was a fun experience. It was a lot of fun to put together.
And it was a really cool poster.
Cool music from Mike for the trailer.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun stuff.
I still have some of those posters and I bring them to live shows.
You
if you want to snag one, it's a great design.
We even did a loose plot for the La Jolla show too, which was fun. The bunny one woman show thing.
Oh right,
which I totally forgot about. It's like, so it was. I mean, it wasn't really a huge like plot point, but it was like a fun bit.
That one we actually recorded because we tried to record at least one show a year.
Yeah.
Just so people who can't see our show can see at least something from us.
But I think that's kind of in the same vein. Maybe not as much as, but it works.
It was fun. It was fun.
People loved it.
Yeah.
We can get back to talking about the music videos, but let's take a question from.
Did we get through the retrospect?
No. We're gonna alternate.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Sorry.
Just keep it a little.
I was trying to keep it on board, but I keep wanting to talk about other things.
We got a lot of questions.
We're gonna change it up.
All right, so we'll go through the retrospective and then sprinkle some questions in between. So do you want to read the first one?
Okay, so AJ asks, any particular reason why the spine hasn't got the glowy spines recently? Too much a hassle? Can't wear the trench coat? I know in universe they're retractable, but is there an in real life reason?
Explain now.
We demand answer.
I mean, I've had them on the Spines costume for more times than I have not.
They're very heavy, and sharp.
They're not super heavy, and they're pretty dull.
Really?
They're not.
Well, they're made of metal.
Yeah, they're rounded edges and stuff, but they're aluminum. So it's more that.
I want to make up more facts about it. They also come out and stab people in the eye a lot.
They stay in and they.
Is it cumbersome? Is it because it was cumbersome?
I mean, I think it's when you have something extra on your back. I can't get it out of my brain, and it was one of those. Even now, when I'm on stage without them, I still am conscious of them. So I just felt like, well, what's the point? Because most of the show you can't see them, and they look cool for pictures and stuff. And people say, oh, it's because of the guitar. There's no reason. My guitar.
You handled it.
The guitar strap comes.
It's more work. Not much. Maybe not much work, but it's more work for nothing. It's not. Yeah. And plus, like Laura, they can come in and out. He still has them.
You're
it's just
a
they're not
performer.
Yeah.
Let's freeze you up.
If you had like more money to like design something that could like they could come in and out and like so you don't have to sit on it like you sitting through the autograph line with the spines on your back or like having to go in a car ride with spines on your back was ridiculous.
I just took my vest off. I would never complain about something that's like inconvenience. I think it was for me. It was all about being on stage, playing music, and performing. Yeah. And it just felt after so many years of doing it, I was like. This ain't no one's seen these unless I go like this.
so like we're getting costume upgrades slowly. Like a rabbit got a new costume, and mine was totally comfort driven. I was like, there's not a lot of tight like everything's kind of like in segments, so it fits. It's really comfortable, and there's nothing like because it's like a suspender system. Like everything just hangs off my shoulders and it's really light and I can move really well, and it even has and we built it so it looks like I'm wearing a corset, but it's all It's this most super. It's
Yeah,
a super comfy
simple,
costume
yeah.
now.
That's good, though.
And
That's
that all my other ones
That's great.
were so hard to wear because they were stiff and they look cool, but
That's like ours.
Yeah.
Like we got, we changed ours based off of
The Walter Worker
the dancing.
costumes.
Yeah, the Walter Workers. We just started doing a lot more dancing in the show, and the old ones were very stiff. Couldn't lift our arms past our armpits, and like so
they're pretty, but
it's always comfort driven, basically.
for live
Updating.
shows especially.
Yeah.
Like if we were just doing a one-off of anything, like then you could dress in and whatever. But
Yeah.
this is like something we have to routinely do. David, so your spines. I noticed in like the new music video, you wore one of your older vests, and I forgot about the spine pattern that you had on that one.
Yes.
And I feel like if we were to update your vests, something like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, some type of a design on the back I think would work. The one that I currently use, the spines I could zip off if I wanted to, but it wasn't practical in the middle of the show because, I mean, a zipper, even you had to line it up, and I never used it that way. I did take the spines off for some things, like where we didn't have enough room, like we did some acoustic YouTube concerts last year. We didn't do one this year, but and just so I wasn't banging anyone, but I think having something on the back might work with that. Even the current vest, right now it's just plain. You can see the remnants of like where stuff was attached to, but yeah, for the new music video, "Hot on the Trail," I used the old vest just because sitting down and doing some of that stuff with the current vest, it doesn't look bad. It's just when it bunches up because it sits low.
It didn't look as good opened.
That is too that as well because it sits a little differently.
Yeah, and when you're wearing a vest, I think well maybe not because like when like a man's wearing a suit and you sit down, you unbutton the.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you do that for vests. But
Well, it wasn't even possible.
You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have. If you're wearing a vest,
Yeah.
you shouldn't
It's
have to.
a zipper.
That's the
vest
idea. Like a
anyways.
3-piece suit, like you should have your vest should be able to sit down.
Yeah, but it's just how it's designed is they're a little longer than normal vests just to make it look charactery. So but also just to change it up because I took the hat off for the music video, and I kept the new shirts that I have the red collar and the red cuffs.
Yeah.
And then I usually had the red cuffs, but the collar was new. And then the vest just open. So it looked a little more casual. It didn't look like. It just made sense to me.
Totally.
I tried it with the other vest. I was like sitting down in the chair and I was like, yeah, this doesn't. It looks a little more normal with the other vest.
it has a
open.
nice silhouette too when it's open. Like it looked really cool.
Yeah. So, and we've done that before. I've had the vest open before I got my new vest because it can't breathe when it's closed at all. I mean, I wouldn't even fit me now, anyways. I was way skinny at the zoo.
We were so thin.
Well, I didn't. I mean, I'm older now, but at the time I was starving. Like I was like
dying.
Like Steve. I didn't have any money, and Steve was literally giving me cans of beans like the first few weeks before we got our first paycheck.
And you'd have to split the beans like
I'm
like
amazed.
the
It was
old
fine.
Looney Tunes cartoon.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah, like-
Yeah. I wasn't like, oh, please, Steve. He just did it.
Thanks
a
for
nice
the question.
gesture,
No, that's
but,
very-
Thanks for the
All
question.
right,
Thank,
so-
thank you
Good
for
man.
thank you for that question. Just kidding. Sorry.
So
January. We were at January. We're going back to the retrospective.
Oh my God! Does anyone do a podcast this way? Like, am I the only one that's like, I don't know if this is a good idea?
I'm really trying to keep it like on
And now we're
track.
No, you're doing great.
going
You're doing
back
great.
to the
Don't worry.
retrospective.
Don't worry about it.
So we're going back to February. February through June was a big recording time for you all. I know we were working on
Were
the
we?
first
I was like,
batch
of
The
songs.
songs,
the actual music.
and I
Well,
don't
all
think
of the songs, right?
But
Right?
I don't think at this time, like around February, March, everyone knew that we were going to be doing the double singles
No,
yet.
no,
but
we
we were already
definitely
working
not.
on Shattered Stars and Latinum Altera.
Yeah, I don't think we announced it until like June, right?
yeah.
I totally
To give us some safety.
didn't even think about that. That's
so,
awesome. Wow.
So yeah, the first half of the year you guys were
This
really
has
working
been a
hard
really
on.
productive year.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
crap!
So
So because we
so how like the
we didn't
recording
have-
process?
Yeah, I mean that's not a 3 to 4 months of like wait, that's a long time. It's more that we were working on everything, and then when we did know that we were going to do the wave thing and we were going to announce it, that's when we like switched gears and
Yeah.
moved. And I think that was early on in the year.
I
in
think that was
February.
like around.
So
February.
in February we were still working on harmonies and stuff for all
Oh,
the
for
songs.
sure.
the entire
yeah,
album.
everything.
Like trying to hack out the entire album, and then we wanted to do this wave idea, and we're like, okay, so now let's refocus on just the two songs that are the first. And I don't even know In fact, I was about to answer a question that was on our.
Yeah.
That was related to that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's a good thing that we got that head start on all the other songs as well, because it's just going to make it that much easier when we get to them.
Totally. It's brilliant. And David brainchild that one. And
Let's answer that question.
Good work, Brainchild.
Good job, brainchild.
That one?
Wait, that's the brainchild is what you make, right?
Yeah.
So
Because he thought it up, so the child is his brainchild.
Yeah, but he could also be like a child with a big brainchild, or child brain.
I like that. That sounds like a fun movie that Pixar could
Brainchild.
make.
All right. So
so Rachel asks.
this question is from Rachel from Patreon.
This is how it should. If someone
Okay.
like this is like the. Even me explaining it is making it worse, but like
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Let's just read it.
It sure is. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sitting right next to you.
I don't even know.
it's a relevant question to what we were talking about.
okay,
We don't know what you're
okay.
talking about because I don't know.
'Cause we
what
didn't read the questions.
What is the question? If we could hear the question.
Rachel, how do you decide what order to release your songs?
Okay.
Oh, well, that is relevant.
We did it. It was all worth it for that one question.
So there's a it's basically we sat down and like we had to guess like which ones would fit, and we're just trying to make it even, and everyone has a song that comes out because they drop twice
or two in a row.
Yeah, so everyone's getting a couple that drop the first week and the second week. We're all getting the same amount of songs. That's nothing new.
Yeah, everyone knew that. Wait, what? They were gonna go one at a time. I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean,
I do remember like not choosing to do Lying Awake first because we had just done like a live video of it, and so you don't want to like oversaturate that, which I thought was also a good idea.
We basically thought about what made sense for the first songs and what made sense for the last song and try to figure out, because we had some of these songs like take a little longer. Like we needed to make sure we gave.
For sure. Well, I think,
without spoiling anything, like until the whole album's out, like we have songs in
Well,
order for.
yeah.
Right now, my brain is like, don't say this, don't say this.
Yeah, I know.
So, I think actually Transform was going to be the.
I think so
but
too.
then we were working on Lights on Malterm. Like, this is too fun, guys. Like, we were like, okay, let's do this song because we're really into it right now.
Also because it was nice to have something that was like totally fresh.
That's also
out of the blue kind of thing.
Also,
and
the concept for the video, we knew would take a little longer because of the makeup for the demons. So,
but I think the first three were the most important. Then everything else can kind of like go. But it was like, right, well, all three of us need to have a song out, and then it's gonna, it can do whatever.
I mean, we'll definitely have some that are like the same singer back to back, just because it's the only way to get someone, because there's three of us. And
It's just.
I don't want to say too much because some people are going to start doing math and figuring out
exactly.
how long the album is and when it's going to release. I mean, we said it's going to be winter, so
we all Well, we didn't say how many songs we were each going to do, but it's obvious that.
Well, if they can figure out when it's going to release, then they can find the treasure.
Yeah, and they don't know any of the songs we're doing all together. There's a lot of stuff going on,
But basically, like, so since we want everyone to have a chance to be the first song released in a batch and the last song released. So not that matters, because it also matters like the time of year. Like I feel like maybe these videos are getting maybe a little more recognition because they're at the end of the year when people aren't at work and it's not in the middle of the week.
We thought they might not have, but seems like they're doing pretty well.
No, I think the whole idea is going to snowball because you're like you said like previously, when you don't have the online presence wasn't like as strong. It's like some people forget, so it was like they're making music videos, and then it's like, oh no, they're making more music videos. Like, oh shoot, they're coming out with this,
how many
coming out with
people
that.
like saw Hot on the Trail and then like they realized
Oh,
there's
they've
two
got
other
two other
songs that they
songs?
already
Yeah,
released.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
So it's
There's
like-
and I've seen a lot of those comments.
Yeah,
where
a lot of those.
People are basically like, wow,
you're still making music?
And so it doesn't. We try to be like put the information out there, but we understand there's so much stuff.
yeah,
like some people are just going to come by it
Totally.
after the fact.
By that
We're just
one
trying
way.
to stay as relevant in your mind as we can. So that's
Which
the
would be really
trickle.
cool for someone who hasn't seen us in stuff in 2 years, and they come to our thing and they're like, "Oh my god, they have a music
on the
video
trail.
for they have 10 music videos, 12 music videos. How long? Like, I mean, it's gonna be."
Well, they've also the music videos have just they're so different than the other ones too. Just with your camera and stuff like they look.
We're
nice.
gonna run out of ideas real soon.
Okay,
but
so
It looks
wait,
so nice.
I can't remember. Are we on the question? We're on a question, so now we have to go to.
we were about to.
I'm gonna try to keep it moving forward because I know we have a lot. Sorry.
So February through June was a lot of recording. June and July was we had a Chicago show and
La Jolla show.
That was in
what?
August.
That was August.
It was August, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Early July
I
was
thought it was end of
Chicago.
July for some reason.
And then
It
like
kind of was.
Yeah.
Wait,
But
what were the two shows you said?
Chicago.
It was just one show.
Oh,
Yeah,
just
that was
Chicago.
early
we were.
July.
You said we were editing. That's right.
I said La Jolla, but that was
Yeah,
but
and
that
then
was a mistake.
the month before that, for June was a lot of music video shooting.
Yeah.
Once we had finished versions of the songs, June is when we did the demon makeup and a lot of the Shattered Stars footage.
I think that was that 4 or 5 days of shooting for both
it
music
was a
videos.
lot. I forget.
Yeah. I mean, I have it somewhere because I had to keep track of how much to pay.
It was two for me.
And it was
But it was-
hard sitting on that too for so long.
I think Bennettarium took 2 shooting days.
yeah.
But one of them was mixed in with we kind of what's the word? We doubled up on days where we knew we could shoot for both music videos.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
came in. Wait, what did I do there?
That was with just us playing instruments.
Oh, maybe I did the
Yeah.
and the reading of the
Yeah,
something else.
Patreon.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember that.
There are shots. I think it's the shots of the 3 robots singing. For Shattered Stars, it has the blue starry background, and then in Latin Altero,
Oh, that was the
there's
same day.
shots
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
robots singing with a red background. Those were all done the same day with the same backdrop.
That's right. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
And if you're a patron, you can see the behind the scenes of all those.
Yeah.
And
studio
if
work
you're a
we did
patron, you also know how much I hate our decision to do the red background, but it's all my fault. It was me that pushed it, and it looks terrible.
I
But-
don't think it's the red background. I think it's the lighting.
Yeah,
I think
it's just
we
it just
put-
it didn't come together very well, but
Yeah.
it looks good. Like we did it. It doesn't look bad. I guess it was just kind of regretful because it was like we should have known this.
It's
was gonna
fast
happen.
enough, and now it just looks like a stylistic choice.
Yeah, you live and learn. Yeah,
Yeah.
you live and learn. And then you get loves, and then you poop.
in your
In the
diaper.
diaper.
All right.
Or
next,
as astronauts call them mags.
Let's have you or
You pooping,
maximum
you're pooping your
absorbency.
mags.
let's have someone
Garments.
read our next Patreon question.
Okay. Question. This question is from Kelsey. What's your favorite SPG headcanon that the fans have created? Silly or serious?
I was gonna say most of the robots have like a head cannon.
Yeah.
Like Rabbit literally has a death ray.
I think mine is Rabbit's Death Ray as well. That's funny you say that.
But a fan didn't make that.
Spine has 2 cannons. I just want to put that in there.
Just one-
I
his
only
hand,
need-
in his
Gosh,
head.
there
in his
actually
head.
I
have
don't
been
need any cannons, so
there have been some good
fine.
ones where I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't want to mention anything specifically because obviously I don't know who came up with anything, but like I like some of the stuff that people do, like with all the matters and stuff, way before we even said anything, like the energy that powers the robots. Like that's cool. Like people got really into like making ones. We've never come out with a like definitive list because we don't. Honestly, I don't think we will. But like,
Yeah.
Well, it's not really relevant to the stage show.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but if we ever had to go down that road, like I think it's pretty obvious that it's not a far stretch that
And-
I think fans kind of understand
Yeah.
where you would kind of take that kind of stuff.
a special mention, even though this is not canon and we don't have any intention of doing this. There was the Basile bots were a thing where there were kind of like evil versions of Steam Powered Giraffe.
That's fun.
And it was really fun. And they made their own. I don't know who did it, but like the fans just jumped on board. This was years and years ago, but like that was pretty fun to see. Like obviously we just didn't have any intention of going that route.
Yeah.
No, it's a little on the nose,
But
for my team.
it's really fun.
But also like we have a stage show and there's only 3 robots.
Yeah, but who alternate universes. Yeah.
So but I think
Anything's possible.
We'll just say it now. Like if we ever have like a TV show, a cartoon, or anything where we have to like flesh out this universe, and it just come up with every idea you don't want us to use because we won't.
I mean,
Because then we'll feel like, well, we can't take their idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we never take fans' ideas even if they're so good or something. But it's like I think most fans are good at understanding where we might go,
Yeah.
and they're gonna get not. I wouldn't say lucky. It's just like you can draw some conclusions and stuff because you watch the narrative and stuff. And it's fun though.
do another
question.
Mhm.
This is from Abby. If you had to get rid of one and never eat it again for the rest of your life, gosh, what is it going to be that we're eating? I'm quivering in anticipation. Would you get rid of chocolate cake or chocolate ice cream?
Chocolate ice cream.
Cake.
Cake.
Get rid of cake.
Chocolate ice cream.
Because chocolate
Yeah.
ice cream is in so many things. Chocolate cake is chocolate cake.
What's in
That
chocolate
was
ice cream?
hard.
Well, in chocolate ice creams and other ice creams.
I like ice cream better, so I would get rid
But
of
that's
cake.
also like
I don't
it's
really
so weird.
chocolate
Like,
ice cream.
how would
I don't like any ice cream.
Yeah.
that
how does
has
someone
chocolate in it.
enforce this? Does that mean what if you put like chocolate syrup in a vanilla and mix it together until it's chocolate ice cream? Does it just not exist?
That's vanilla with chocolate syrup. It's different.
Is it though?
It's different.
Oh.
Well, see, those are the questions. I just want to poke holes in
So
everything.
I know.
chocolate cake.
I have to just
That was my
okay.
answer.
I guess we would invent it again. That's what I would
Back
say.
to our recap. August was our La Jolla Mandeville Theater show.
Yeah, that's one I was talking about. I
Hometown.
knew about. It's in La Jolla. We got another show in La Jolla. We did.
Yeah.
I remember that show too.
We bookended August with La Jolla and Dragon Con.
Atlanta. We did La Jolla and
Yeah.
Atlanta. We coast to not coast, but
Almost.
over there. It was over there.
No, we were worried about Atlanta because we were like, we know it's going to be a very exhausting convention.
And there was a
Yeah.
hurricane coming.
Oh, yeah.
There was a hurricane in Florida.
yeah.
There was a hurricane in Florida, and everyone wanted
Florida.
worried.
We
Yeah.
also had we had some the previous year we had gone, which was like 3 years ago. 2 years ago?
2017.
Yeah, we our show had a massive amounts of technical hiccups, so we were
Oh yeah.
we were a little we were highly anticipating this one, and I think we blew it out of the water just in terms of like we
It was
knew
lots
the
of
amount of
fun.
energy that we needed to bring, and we did, and we were all standing around like, would you guys do this again? And we're like, actually, yeah, like
Show was
It was
good.
really fun.
Show was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was.
we weren't as like defeated from 2017.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, along with our show being very late and technical difficulties in 2017, we were coming back from the UK the same week. We
Oh,
literally
you were
had
so
1 day of
exhausted,
rest in between
Yeah.
after a week in England. So Dragon Con 2017 for me is a fever dream. I barely remember any of it. I was so tired.
I don't even
so
know
jet
how we
lagged.
did it because we did, and we weren't like super like
it was so stressful.
grumpy
So
or
I
anything,
think I
but-
was like biased and I was really like scared going into Dragon Con this year. I was like, oh, it's gonna be
It-
so
it felt-
tiring.
it
but
felt
then
more
was,
like
it was better.
Bone saw.
normal show.
I
I'm
wasn't
doing
jet
air
lagged.
quotes. It felt
Yeah.
it felt like more familiar.
Well, Dragon Con really helped us out. They saw the
Yeah,
technical
yeah.
hiccups that and it's not, we're not placing blame on anyone.
Oh, no, definitely
it's just
not.
sometimes that stuff happens. But they worked with us to get a time slot that kind of made more sense
Yeah.
to be able to give us the time to.
It was a. Great
We
show.
we played
Big
at like
Yeah.
3 a.m. or something.
Yeah,
Oh, last time.
But this year it was like
2017.
there was like a huge crowd in front of the stage, which I was like, oh, this is a pretty big crowd. And then like the lights went up and you could see like everybody in the. It was like 2 ballrooms full
Yeah,
of people.
I mean,
I was like that, and it was like to the back. The people were sitting in the back. It was crazy.
it was.
to
We
see
only
that
had the
amount.
rough head count from Steve. It was our biggest show ever.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that which is great because that first year, like it was a big show, but the audience had to leave because
Yeah,
our
well, couldn't
show
wait.
was pushed
They couldn't
back.
Yeah.
wait. They couldn't
Not
wait.
just from technical stuff, but just because of scheduling. But,
Although a lot of people did wait.
they did wait.
I
They
mean,
did.
a surprising amount of people waited. Like, I mean, I'm saying like over 300. Like,
Yeah.
and people were so kind. to us.
2019,
Oh, man.
the redemption story. We did it. It was a lot of fun.
I loved it.
Hope
Yeah.
we get to come back.
Yeah, if Dragon Con invites us
Red
back,
Dead
we'll,
Redemption.
yeah, we'll probably most likely do it.
That came out actually in
know.
2018, I think.
It actually happens to be my game of the year 2 years in a row because it came out on PC this year.
That's
Yeah.
true. I love that game.
Let's read another question from Patreon.
So Hope asked, which do y'all prefer, Coke or
Nope.
pie?
Nope, cake.
Coke, cake or pie?
Wait, Coke?
Not Coke, cake or pie.
Cake
I
or
was
pie.
like,
Which do you prefer?
why is there a
And-
drug in there?
and-
I don't.
and what kind?
Ooh.
Cake or pie, huh?
Pie.
Pie.
Banana
and-
cream.
Yes, a cream pie.
I like cake,
Like
okay,
Chocolate cream pie.
but pie has so many
Variety.
varieties, including meat pies and
It's just like
Oh,
pot
pot
pies.
pie. I'm about that. I'm about pie then.
Yeah,
Pie.
there's not many
I'm in
savory cakes.
Yeah, that's like, I don't like sweets in general. These are all terrible questions
Oh,
for me.
yeah, I know. But
I'm like neither. Chocolate, chocolate,
specifically,
neither. Just get them out of my
pie,
life.
and very specifically, the chocolate peanut butter banana cream pie I
Yeah,
make.
yeah.
Oh,
Because that thing
that's
is
the one.
amazing.
That's pretty good.
It's really
Pan
If you want to
chocolate
go to a
banana cream
sugar
pies.
coma.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
I like
okay.
that too.
Almost done with our 2019 recap. September was the music video drop for the first batch of songs.
Whoa, we kind
So
of already
how-
talked about
we
that.
we got
already
around.
kinda
We got
talked
around to talk about the music videos now.
So
did
I
it.
talked about mine
But
enough.
like reception, like
Oh, you meant the new
how
ones.
how
The
did
new
everyone
ones.
feel
But
about
it's good.
the the Shattered Stars and Latum Alterum, which were Brian and Bunny's songs.
I need to go pee.
Yeah.
I felt
I've been drinking
relieved
so
that
much
Brian
water.
finally got a song. Like we
Yeah,
kept
it
saying,
was
like,
so
just hang in there, buddy. You'll get one.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
You were like 2 years before you got a song, right?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't like a huge deal in my mind, but it was a good
the
response.
fans were clamoring.
It was
for
it was a good response, and I think that's the biggest thing. I was a little nervous about. It's just internet's a dangerous place.
It's scary, yeah, but like overwhelming positive feedback.
Yeah, for sure.
It was so fun.
I tend to I'll read the comments of like the first initial YouTube, because those are like the fans who are like going to tell you how it
first
is.
ones.
They're going to tell you how it is.
How far can you dig?
But
Yeah.
then I go away. But I did see a comment for Latum Alterum, which is one of my favorites. Gosh, I wish I had written it down.
I think
but
I know which one you're
it's the one
gonna
that's
say.
like, oh, they switched out steampunk for did they say what word did they use?
They said it was something to
Fae
do with
or-
mythical.
Mythical fae.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
because
Sure,
of the
why
demon.
not? Yeah, sure did.
they were disappointed.
Oh yeah, they were
Yeah.
like, oh, I really miss the steampunk. I'm not a big fan of this mythic route they're taking.
Yeah.
Like,
Like it was mythic, and we were like, because of the demons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the when they did Marshmallow World, and it's like, oh, they're not gonna become a hip hop band, are you? It's
Oh
like,
my God.
it's just
Well,
people
yeah.
will say
It's-
whatever they
I
want,
can't-
whatever they think,
What puzzles me is that like I don't watch a music video from a band I like and immediately think whatever they're doing in that video means this is all
this
they're
is
gonna
it
do
from
going
it.
forward. Like it happens every time.
Especially a
like
band
hot
like
on,
this.
even
It's
hot
like-
on the trail.
I just
like,
thought it was funny. 'cause-
yeah,
'cause, like I'm
yeah.
just imagining the route that we would take if we were
the demons are
we're
gonna
all
be in
dressed,
every
we're all
video.
dressed like
Yeah.
elves,
Like
and
D&D characters
Yeah,
from
yeah,
here on
yeah.
out. Yeah.
I did like-
to Steam Power Giraffe. I'm Rabbit
the
Elf.
Well, there was that one, and there was another one that like I honestly thought it had to be satire, but they were serious. They were talking about how disappointed they were that we were endorsing Satanism
Oh,
because of the demons. They were like, "I'm just not into this anymore."
I think-
They said some bad things.
I didn't
about,
see
like,
that one.
Have
My-
fun in hell.
That's
Like-
great.
My-
When-
we're talking about disappointing
Latin Altera?
comments. My favorite disappointing YouTube comment was they were disappointed that Steam Power Draft has sold out. But
Yeah.
they've sold out with all these. I was like, what? Like, what
I've
do you
seen
mean?
that
Like, we
on
just did all the.
every
did
video.
everything-
And where's my money
the
from
same
selling
thing.
out?
It's like,
Every
is this because you have a nicer camera?
Well, okay.
Those
Well,
sellouts.
they're probably talking more about the sound of the music.
I guess. but-
I think the sound and the look of the video. It's like it looks
Yeah.
like you sold out. It looks
Well, I guess-
like you went to somebody else. It's like no, it's all in house, dude.
I mean,
It's just
yeah.
But
I
also, we
guess-
have a Patreon, and we're literally begging people for money.
Literally.
Selling out to them just means that
It's
you're not
better,
using
I
a
guess.
crappy
I
recording
don't
system
know,
anymore. I don't
yeah.
know.
What
But
we were
that was
using like
my-
GoPros.
But that's
before.
like that's my that's like that. It's
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a disappointing comment, but it's also like all right, we're doing something. I guess we're doing
I
something
like
good.
right.
We've
like
had-
that's what you think.
We've had this camera for like almost 5 years.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Like
yeah.
just because we never shot RAW with it because we I don't know, we just never did.
Oh.
But our computers got fast enough to be able to handle it or whatever. But like we've used that camera on so many other music videos,
Yeah.
and it doesn't make it look better. We took the time to color grade and stuff.
To put a positive thing on
Yeah.
on some of the comments, also, which is something that I think especially on Quintessential, I think we were trying to placate a little too much, and we were kind of worried, like how do we get that signature Steam Power Draft sound? There were a lot of comments that said this is a return to form, and it's like I think
Quintessential or the other?
the new 2 music videos, and that just made me feel like we're doing it right because it's not about because obviously it doesn't
Yeah.
sound like anything
Light 'em
we've
all down
done.
or Shattered
No.
Stars.
It's just
Both of them. I've
It's-
seen that on both.
there's like it's like the DNA and the energy that's in it just feels like Steam Power Draft.
Yeah.
It
Shattered
doesn't-
Stars and Light 'em all down. Right?
Sorry,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
To
I don't know
clarify,
how far we got when I went. To
yeah, just Latum Alterum and Shattered Stars.
Yeah.
And after I saw that, I was like, we're doing this. This is good. We're on the right track.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
it's it's the personal stuff, It's it's
Yeah.
not necessarily personal, like, but it's like it's your music, It's my,
Yeah.
and it's like it's the support of like everyone else around that makes this cohesive sound,
Yeah.
which is very cool. So,
The only thing I can say, being the one that pretty much mixes every single album.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, every single one. And every song. obviously with the help of Mike for the ones that he was part of. Even though you always tell yourself, oh, we're not going to listen to the fans, like something like Quintessential and Vice Quadrant was us listening to the fans.
Yeah.
And when I look at it, I'm like, if that's the misstep is trying to. Because when you look at it, you're like, well, it has the things that they want. I don't know if they're done well. I have no idea because when I look at them, I'm like, well, there's nothing bad. Like all the songs you write are good. Yeah. Maybe the execution, who knows? Because people said that about 2 Cent Show when they really liked album 1. Yeah. So you can never. But as for us in the band, obviously I enjoy the stuff that we put into these newer songs.
Yeah.
And Quintessential was literally just me.
Yeah.
Like I mean, obviously Bunny's.
It was literally just you. I remember
like mixing.
I feel like
now that instruments and lots of stuff. Yeah.
Now that you say that, I feel like the practices that we developed in Vice Quadrant, just because there was so many songs and we had to basically say, these are not going to get completely finished. A lot of them are going to be a little rough around the edges. I think we developed some bad habits that we took into Quintessential.
Well, I mean, you just have to. It's just
what worked for Vice Quadrant didn't work as soon as you got rid of the narrative. It just the mojo's still there. I think they're wonderful songs.
I love Vice Quadrant.
And there's still like amazing tracks on both albums. Like great.
The reiterations of a lot of those songs, like Fire and stuff, like obviously we've recorded that one before and we've played it live and stuff. So there's some songs in there that are like we knew where they're going, but I mean, like realistically, Sam's songs have some backing instruments on them and stuff, but most of the stuff is acoustic guitar, bass, and synthesizers for all of Vice Quadrant. Quintessential felt like that's all the tools we had available to do that album, and I mean we could say totally. I mean Mike wasn't available to do those at the time either, so same with SteamWorld Heist, but that one has a lot more instrumentation than Quintessential and stuff.
The habit that we got into in Vice Quadrant was working alone, and I think that's what was Quintessential's biggest downfall, if any. Like it's just that bringing in Brian and like we've just established that this has to be done together. Everything has to be done together. Everyone,
it feels good doing that.
Everyone has their hand in the pot.
I mean, when you're in the band and stuff, I think the difference is like for me, it's like, well, I do a lot of stuff alone anyways. But the difference here is that now working on here, I actually have someone who's following along with me. So even when it's not Bunny or Brian,
it's something we did intentionally. It was just something that developed from needing to get this stuff out. Remember when Vice Quadrant was coming out, we were working on two
other albums. We just finished Vice Quadrant and we just finished SteamWorld Heist.
I actually have a Patreon question that kind of ties into that. Patrick asks, what was the process to you being involved in SteamWorld Heist? What do you think of the game and your representation in it? So
well, the game itself is really fun. Really fun. The loop and the game loop of all that collecting loot and the shooting mechanics and stuff and the turn based is like
the developers are awesome.
It's like casual but also like fun. So I think anyone can play that. It's on cell phones.
It's on Switch too. Yeah,
it's on everything now.
Super fun.
Wild,
super fun. Great to work with him. Great experience. I would say I wish we were in it more. I wish we were playable characters. Like but that's just like why not? Why wouldn't I want that?
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, as far as the process goes, like they had their own development stuff going on. So like most of the stuff was we'd submit stuff and wait around and see what they needed. Yeah. And then eventually the release date came up and we're like, okay, well we finished our thing like months ago. So and then we just it felt like you didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah. It was like, what are they going to use? What are they going to do this? Because we're just giving them content, and
they didn't use any of
the songs they wanted us to make.
Well, like anytime I mentioned a gender, I recognized that they didn't put any of the gay songs in, and I was a little disappointed about that. But it was back in 2014, something like that.
2015.
And also, what was I going to say? Gosh, my brain. Never mind. That was a little disappointing, but understandable. And I would say, I think we mentioned this. Yeah, here it is. We did create an entire soundtrack for the game that was not used at all. Like all the music for all the levels, it was all made and it's all gorgeous and it was not used. And that's just
I wouldn't say. I think it was more. They were more pitches for stuff that they wanted because I think there was a lot of back and forth about what they. I mean. It didn't seem like they knew what they wanted.
I don't know. I'm going to stand by my ground. Like they should have used your guys' music because I didn't have a hand in that music, It was amazing.
So
it sounded great.
Making all that stuff, we're making it for someone. So you're hearing their ideas, you're hearing what they want, and you're coming up with something. If it was any of us making our own game or something, we would know what we would want.
Sure. Oh, sure.
It's like anytime you work with anyone else, you're trying to get on the same page. And when you're getting different conflicting stuff, I mean, it happens all the time. Like even when we worked with Gearbox for some of that Battleborn stuff, like you know, you got to look at it like pitches. Like you're just throwing ideas out there, like, hey, do you like this? And sometimes they like, yes, we really like that. And then and then in the end, when you see the final game, they use something you thought they weren't weren't even going to use.
Yeah.
So and that's you got to give them the creative direction.
I do wish
that's the industry.
I wish they would have promoted us more. I feel like we were kind of buried underneath, and the game didn't do as well as Steam Dig 2, and I don't have
SteamWorld Dig was pretty popular
RPG, but I hear it's really good. So I just feel like it would have been great to actually just be a bigger part of it, but they had never worked with a band or like a musician in this capacity before.
No,
so
when we met up with them, Sam and I think we met up at E3. I can't even remember the year now, but they were telling us like, oh yeah, we the last song we did for SteamWorld Dig, we paid someone to make the song, and then they gave it to us, and we couldn't make any changes, and I'll do all that, and we're like, well, none of us have any money, so let's just try to work together on it. Yeah. But I think it did feel like at one point we had to like say stop. We had to stop and say we can't. If you don't want any of these songs that we're having on in the game, like just don't use them because like we can't work anymore.
It was basically just growing pains and learning how to do it. We were starting to get like emails from multiple people wanting changes, and we're like, okay, it's growing pains. So we were both growing. It's unfortunate because I hope we get to work with them again, and I really think it's a really good fit. And I think a lot of the stuff that just the raw potential that was there would have elevated the game. Honestly, I really do think that. But the game as it is now is fine. It is kind of. I mean, some people have definitely found out about us because of the game, so that's a benefit, I think. And
for sure.
Couldn't ask for more. I mean, it could have been something like Gearbox with Battleborn, where not only is it a game that pretty much fell under the radar, but also whatever the song that is in there is almost impossible to find.
Yeah, it's like an Easter egg. I was gonna say, I know that some fans have modded Steam Power Draft robots into the game. You can play as them in SteamWorld Heist, as mods. I saw like a really cool one of Zero.
Really?
Yeah, like you can.
Wow.
I think I saw it on our Discord months and months ago. So like, if you know where I can find those images,
please,
I'd love to show them to the rest
I
of
would
the
love
band.
to play that because
Yeah.
I was so disappointed. You couldn't even get our hats. And I was like,
I mean, you talked to the spine once, so that's cool.
That's really sweet.
You know what they did do that was really cool though, because Rabbit was going through a very robust metamorphosis. So they actually created two rabbit,
Really?
two rabbit sprites. They didn't animate the first one, I don't think, because we were like, hey, look, we just did this costume change. You don't need to change it, but we're just like, and they did. They were like, done.
That's so cool.
And that was really
That's
cool.
very cool.
Yeah. Okay. So one more recap for the year. September through December, we were working on the next batch of songs, which just came out, and we did our Bakersfield Yumas show, which we kind of talked about already.
Totally.
So the brand new songs are Hot on the Trail and Transform.
Yeah.
And
Hot on the Trails, real
videos
fun.
have just dropped when you are hearing this podcast.
So Hot on the Trail has, what'd you say, has about how many views?
Oh, 100,000, I think, yesterday.
In what, less than a week?
Yeah, which is for us is
about
good.
4 days,
I mean, I don't know what other channels.
I mean, we can't compare us. We can't compare ourselves to anyone else. It's like for us, the numbers are clear that these music videos, especially even the last two, the numbers are great. At least, I mean, they're not like, 1 million views overnight. It's just that
neither was Honeybee. It's only when someone reblogged it.
I don't want to say
somehow we're like, whoa, what happened?
You have that many? Currently, Transform has 0 views.
Yeah, because
on YouTube.
It hasn't released as this recording.
Yes,
Yeah.
But when you're listening to this, it will be.
Tell us.
Maybe it has double that. Maybe it has double the song right now.
Tell us, future people.
Wow.
I know.
Do people love
How
me?
embarrassing. How do you feel that now that Transform has twice the views of Hot on the Trail?
I mean, I'd be fine with that because like Hot on the Trail's gotten really great.
Well, it's the thing.
reception.
It's like we're a band. Like it's a.
Well, I don't
like,
mind riding the coattails of any of you
like,
guys' songs.
like we a band. Like if your song is really good, it's it's good for all of us.
Yeah,
That's
I'm not like.
how long have I been riding Honeybee?
we've always explained to people there's no lead singer in the band, and like honestly, it's what I love so much about this band because when none of us are the ego person, the face, all of us are the face. All of us can contribute.
Yeah, and everyone.
Any one of us could die and we could still go on.
But it's also really hard.
Just like that.
Happy New Year, everyone.
We have to have three, and pardon my terminology, leading men / women. We have three of them.
Yeah.
Like vying for. I don't know. We're not like vying for attention.
Because we don't have to, because it's a service. We're telling a story, and like and that's not always the idea in bands, in general. But like John Lennon said about the Beatles, is like I have the best backing band in the world. Like they weren't like cohesive at the time, But it's like if you have people who are all in the like mind and love telling stories and love performing as much as we do, it makes it very easy to be like, go ahead, like it's your time to shine and my time to sit back and support, and that's a very cool feeling to have in a band. You don't have that very often.
The hierarchy just seems inevitable. It's gonna breed problems. People are gonna get people develop egos. I can't. We would be in the same boat if one of us was the lead person. We'd have those same issues that all those bands go through.
You'd be like, why do I even bother with you people?
Yeah,
it's me.
Well, usually
they love me.
Usually when there's like a front man
no.
or something, like usually everyone else isn't really wanting to be lead singer.
Yeah,
they're usually hired on to do other stuff. So,
but at the same time, it's like taking that as a front person and being like, they love me. This is the reason that it's not about us, it's about me. Like it's very easy to make that mistake, in your head. Even like what recently they had the Bohemian Rhapsody movie. They talk about like Freddie Mercury's like exodus and then coming back. It's like Freddie Mercury outside of Queen was not. Queen Freddie Mercury, like it wasn't. It was not the same. It was not received well because it's the cohesiveness of that band.
Yes,
it's what Brian May brings to it. It's what John Deacon brought on that bass, and those harmonies and the way they push each other that makes that kind of music. Yes.
Plus, we get to see that firsthand with each other. Too. We know there's people that love you, and Bunny, and two people like myself too.
No, what do you mean? Well, you're like.
Well, I wasn't gonna say
most
nice.
popular. No.
Hey, Mr. Diamonds over here.
But hey, that also allows for an artist to sit on that back burner and not have to be like, this is me. Totally. It's all about me. It's very easy to be like, all right, well, you like this, well, what about this? What about that? It's like I feel like I don't know. It's a weird thing as like totally. To like take all that in. So it's
this is the quality content you crave. This is like behind the scenes entertainment.
But even people
you're learning.
Even people who are the sole lead singer and they're everything. Like I mean, a lot of the good stuff that comes out of them is because of a team behind them and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, that's not to take away any of their talents or their music writing ability or anything like that. But like, it's when the push and pull of like, how about this? How about that? Like it just like when it becomes a creative endeavor by multiple people and everyone kind of is like in agreement and going the same way. Yeah. You can see that, and then I mean we've totally have examples of when it hasn't been cohesive.
Totally. You have firsthand experience of all those things.
I mean, 2 Cent Show was some of the earliest I can remember of just stuff getting on an album that was like it wasn't cohesive. It wasn't a group effort.
I mean, it is a popular album because it has AH and it has Honeybee, and those are pretty popular songs, along with some other ones on there. I think MK3 was I mean, it's one of those. I always imagine what do fans think the problem is or something when they don't like the band or something well, I mean it's subjective, but like for us personally, it's like, well, with MK3, the 3 robots worked on their songs and stuff and kept a window open for the backing stuff, and Mike came in like the last 2 weeks and laid down everything. So if there's any issues with that album, that's where that lies is someone coming in and not knowing the other songs.
I think it did pretty good.
2 Cent Show, I think it was Bunny, myself, and Mike, and we were kind of leading it all the way through. and John came in the last few weeks.
That was kind of our falling out era ish. So that
so
was
for such a great album, like it had a lot of
totally.
I don't think the drama did not make it better. It's just that I think Mike, Bunny, and I were still like
we were still
pushing forward.
Yeah.
It was only our second album, so and the third one, it's one of those when we wouldn't have finished if it wasn't for Sam and stuff, like all his work ethic and stuff.
This is not to say that we each have roles and we do. David and I obviously spearhead the creative. What do you call it? Like sort of the. I don't want to say a narrative, but it's like we have the experience of knowing what the original idea was, so we keep trying to put
conceptual.
Yeah, we keep trying to push that forward and so you guys can aim at it. It's there's different tasks we do, but
we wear a lot of different hats for sure. I think depending on the album, like mostly besides MK3, Quintessential, Vice Quadrant, SteamWorld Heist. Mike and I are basically the producers of that stuff because we're trying to make the idea that everyone has in our own way. And I think Mike, especially for this stuff, is definitely the main producer of.
Oh, for sure.
Because if he was here, he would say the same thing. He does a ton of work, not only with doing some of the recording of the instruments, but there's plenty of times where he'll tell me we need that sound, and then he'll tell me to play something.
He's been with us since the beginning, and it's much more like album 1 and 2 and the live album and stuff that we did with him. It's very much together. The best of all our talents is on display. It feels great.
Yeah.
We have a very talented team.
And I think if anyone wants to, because when Mike wasn't playing with us anymore, we got there's tons of stuff that people make up and stuff. You just keep letting these talented people go. I remember seeing one of those on Facebook. I'm well, look at MK3, and you can see the talent that all of us bring to it.
Yeah.
Just because it might not be as cohesive as people might want it. That's the issue. It's not that
MK3,
we don't think this person's talented.
MK3 was if we can just talk about MK3, man, it even had an overarching theme
story,
and because we did that, we just came out with a 2 Cent Show, which was very heavily themed for the most part, and MK3, the story was in the art book, and you can only experience it through that art book in its entirety, which is really cool, and that's because
and it had to be an introduction to the new robot.
But that's not to throw our albums under the bus. We all have our own personal experience of how we experience them, and there's tons of fans who are I only like MK3. You get that with any album, because you can see it. It's Honeybee definitely makes album 2 bigger than else, but I can look at it all and see I can appreciate everything, all the work we put into it. As far as cohesion and stuff, I don't, I wouldn't say Vice Quadrant's super cohesive, but it was a fun endeavor and stuff. And these songs right now, who knows how it'll be on the album, because the cohesion is how they're all made rather than we made these songs in a row.
Yeah, but we started off as a conceptual album, so
you're right.
So
we knew the songs
I think these songs will pair very well. Whether or not in the future, if that's the way we're thinking, if we're doing 2 songs at a time, maybe that's not. But I think the ones that we did right now, very much had that had the idea of oh wow, they will pair up.
The binding agent is Mr. Piscato.
Piscato.
And if any of you are wondering what that is, it's just Mike in a fish mask, and we're trying to put him in every music video where it makes sense. Even
wearing the ugliest suit he owned.
All four videos that are out right now.
Have a minute.
If you're listening to this when it actually posted, patrons have seen some of them have seen the transform, but he's in every single one.
Yeah.
And he'll continue to be in every single one.
Not
Maybe.
as not where it makes sense. He'll be more prominent, and then where it's kind of this would kill the mood of the song. We kind of hide him,
Speaking of the 2 new music videos. So he had very brief cameos in those.
We wanted to put him in, and we knew we had to hide him a little bit, just to make sure it wasn't too on the nose, because
those are 2 very personal. They're like cry songs. They can be emotionally charged.
But it was already established that he's going to be in every single one, so it's you got to sneak him in.
Hot on the Trails, Mr. Piscato is the creepiest thing.
Yeah,
it's the creepiest thing, and it scares me every time.
We got a lot of questions still to get through,
let's do some questions. Then we'll talk on Hot on the Trail and talk about some cool, fun, hot facts for you.
Yeah. All right. Let's go around the table.
Alicia asks if you could have a third arm, where would it be, and what would it be used for? Well, I don't think we can talk about that on the podcast.
Also, I have to leave in 5 minutes because I have to take my girlfriend to work.
Oh wow! All right. Well,
let's. How about we'll do these questions and then we'll
tail hand,
and then
tail
we'll
hand.
talk
monkey,
about the music.
Monkey
videos.
hand, tail.
Extra hand for cooking.
Monkey tail hand.
Multitasking.
It's on my back.
Wait, is this a power?
I think one on the back makes more sense.
Yeah, one on the back.
Where do I
Yeah.
want a monkey hand?
Yeah. Where's your extra hand?
My extra hand?
Yeah.
Extra
arm.
arm.
Arm in hand.
Gosh, I don't know.
Where do you want your hand? Where do you want your arm?
Another one? Or, below my left, I guess?
I'm going tail spot. I'm going tailbone.
I want it like on my back here.
Yeah.
It would be really hard to sleep on my back, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'd
All
be
right.
used to it. Let's go back to the music video since
Sorry,
Yeah,
I just
go
realized
ahead.
the time. I was like, whoa, okay.
this one has gone on a little longer than
Yeah,
normal.
sorry about that. So we can't really talk. Well, I can't at least.
Why don't you talk about
Yeah.
Transform?
Transform. Yes. So
I'm sure we're gonna get more in the for the next podcast
Yeah.
after people have like digested
in
this
2
stuff.
months. Next up is going to be Radio Adventures. What can I say about Transform? I had made one of my first songs that I've ever recorded by myself. Very proud of it. It was very rough. Made a slight music video, and this was just sort of a one-off song on YouTube.
What year?
Was this like 2014?
Yeah.
I think so. So I basically I used all that footage, and I had been cutting it up since we'd been playing Transform live. Trying to speak fast so I can get through this. But I did make changes and I did edit it. So the footage is slightly different. But yeah, all that archival footage was definitely always going to be the main thing. But I didn't want to reiterate the same concept.
Yeah.
And I was always worried about that until midway through crafting the song, we decided we had already had like a changes pitch,
The keys.
the changes key like 4 times, 3 unique ones, I believe. And so in that moment, like it felt like there was going to be something. And originally there was this concept for a genre hopping song that I had, but it didn't end up making the cut just because I didn't feel it wasn't as strong as these other ones. And I said like, hey, what if we do the genre shift in the middle here? And then soon it was like, okay, so we got 60s, 70s, 80s, and then let's do metal. And then it became like, oh, then let's go backwards and do 50s, 30s, and then suddenly it's like it just came together, and
It's great.
it was such a risk, I think, because it was so late in the game. But David and Mike took it, and we did research. We all
Definitely, as far as like
ugh.
the amount of time it took to record and get those genre stuff, I think it's the most we worked on a song ever.
Totally.
Yeah.
And just
Well, there's
because
just so many instruments to it too.
it's like
man.
they're like
it's
micro
stacks.
songs.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's not
stacks.
just like we're trying to blend them together, but then also every single one has a different drum kit.
We wanted each one to actually
different
sound
sound.
like you want to hear the rest
I
of the song.
think you nailed it.
I think
love
we
it.
did a good job. Like
It made us
came
be
together.
like, man, I want to hear what the
Yeah.
70s song.
That's
is.
what
Yeah.
it was like. We didn't want to go too spoofy,
Yeah.
but obviously the metal one is the closest one. But we still did our research, and our inspiration was definitely
Mike was a
stronger
big
in-
help. Like some of those instruments, he knew exactly what that snare
That
would sound
sound
like,
was, yeah.
and so we just had to like tune into it. Like, what about this, Mike? Does it sound like it? And then when we
Yeah.
got it, was like, yeah, that sounds like it. So
We
that's
just
great.
kept tweaking and tweaking. The metal one was the hardest, but like it came together. I was gonna say the inspiration was definitely Metalocalypse. I don't listen to a lot of metal, but like Metalocalypse,
It's a great show.
pretty great. So yeah, it's came together really nice. There's much more trivia, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me
And we'll
on my
save-
own show.
We'll save any questions that patrons had for bunnies for next time.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's car is in the shop, so I gotta go take her to work.
Well, thanks for joining us. We're gonna finish up with these questions, if you don't mind, Brian.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. Julia asks, in Dungeons and Dragons, if you could give a character any creature or monster as a mount, what would it be and why? No limit, such as traditional
could-
horse and celestial.
Give a character. Okay.
Yeah. Bye.
What your character or
I
any
think-
character?
I think
What's your favorite mount? Basically.
I think like a chair that walks on its own.
chair that walks on its own.
Like, like a 4-legged chair.
I mean, I'd be like really basic and boring and say like a unicorn or a Pegasus or something.
I want some sort of weapon mount, some sort of mounted weapon that I ride around, and also it's weapons. So something like that.
Just like a big sword.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Like a cloaked sword,
You have to be careful getting off it so you don't
like
stab yourself.
the invisible sword. Like no one else can see it. You don't know how long it is, except I do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm riding.
Unicorn. I'm so basic. Okay, next question from Hanari. I guess I'll read this one too. What's your favorite color and body part in Twister?
Well, I like the color red, so I'm gonna say red. And
I'm gonna go left hand blue.
I'm gonna go right foot red.
Oh, Twister!
Because that's the
Foot.
easiest one. Is just step
Green.
on one.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, wait. What
The
are the
minute you
rules?
get hands,
I
you
don't-
have to bend
I
down.
haven't played Twister since I was a kid.
I haven't played Twister.
Are there
Well,
like
that's
rules? Like
Yeah. So
green
you,
is a certain
so
body part.
There's no. So
Or something
there's
like
there's a
Spinner.
A spinner. You spin to
Okay.
the color. So it says purple, and then you spin your body part. So right hand
Oh.
purple or
Okay.
or purple's not a color.
It's
Yeah,
on
yeah.
one spinner.
Right hand
Oh,
green.
okay. Yeah. Now I remember.
So I'm saying left hand blue.
Okay.
Is it on one spinner?
I think so.
I think so.
And it's
yeah.
like it's in like this is feet, this is hands, and it's just the color.
Maybe.
I think it's
I
something
don't
like that.
play Twister. Oh,
read
I'm
the
gonna read
next
this.
one.
I'm gonna read the
I don't
next
play
one.
Twister. That's a children's game.
I don't know much about it.
Wait, what? Can I read this?
You can pick whichever one you want.
Can I?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I see. Have you ever heard of Tupperware Remix Party or Ninja Sex Party? They were weird, cool bands just like you. You ever heard of them?
Yeah, Ninja Sex Party.
I know
I know
there's a
of
sex
them.
party
I've
for
never
sure.
heard of the Tupperware one.
I've never heard of Tupperware either.
Me either.
But I'm assuming they're similar.
I don't
Yeah,
know
they're-
anything about them. I'm sorry.
They're yep.
Except that they have a
huge
cult
following,
following.
yeah.
Like, not,
And
I don't know if cult following is
they're
the right
they're
word.
they're like part of the Game Grumps people, I believe.
But yeah.
Are we weird?
I guess.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're a niche thing.
Yeah.
I mean, but they've got
I'm
some
kidding, I'm
good. They do a lot of like covers and they're all really popular and they tour
I
around
know
and
Ninja
stuff.
Sex Party.
One of the
I like read ahead before. Like
you
I
just
didn't
read
I was like,
Ninja Sex Party. You're
Party.
like,
I was like, what
I don't
is-
want to read this.
I was like, oh yeah,
But
the band.
yeah, you're.
we are familiar.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. Okay. Next
Should
question.
we call them?
Yeah. Should we call them?
I mean,
Do a
they're like
open
light years
forum?
ahead of us as far as like followers go.
Yeah.
I'll call them.
It's one of those like they got their own. You know,
Oh.
they have this. They
They have their own secretary that I
they
can
have
call?
this robot band that is in costumes.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head, but because they're one of the people who has helped them with tours contacted us, and that fell through. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
because I don't know, he got fired. But I guess that's from what
I
heard.
remember this. Yes.
So it was like, oh, that's cool. These people, they know what we need because they have a band that has a bunch of costumes.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
then,
is not
yeah.
everyone knows how to work that.
Totally.
Well, I don't know. I guess this guy got fired, so I don't know. So Grayson asks, which of y'all's songs get stuck in your head the most? Which is the most irritating to get stuck in your head?
The newest song.
Whatever you're working
Whatever
on.
the newest
Yeah.
song is.
Yeah,
Like
for
Hot
sure.
on the Trails in my head right now. For
I mean,
sure.
it's I like all the new songs, but like when you work on it for so long, you need a break before you can appreciate them again.
Yeah, and they'll be in your, I mean, I think it's a good thing when they get stuck in your head. You're like, okay, that's the song.
Yeah, because you want to know that the hooks in it are good or the melodies
For
catchy.
sure. For sure. Like Hot on the Trail was a very easy one. I was like, yep, that's in my head.
I was
That's in
always
my
like
head.
I was always iffy about the chorus because the chorus is so simple and kind of cheesy.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say lyrical wise maybe, but it just sounds like, what is this chorus doing in the song?
I guess so.
But at the same time, like I don't have it in me to make a song that's so like
Yeah, it's so dark and
Yeah.
but it's the way that it opens up makes the song for me.
Yeah.
Especially when you add it with the movements of the music video, you're like, whoa, like it's a change,
yeah,
it's
no,
a
no,
change
no.
in how
The
they.
chorus,
So it's great.
the chorus is so forgettable for me in my mind.
Really? Yeah.
When I think about it, like,
because the verse is so catchy. That's
yeah,
the
and
thing.
then when you get that, I don't know, I guess it would be the bridge or the pre-chorus.
Is that-
It's like that's the best part for me.
Yeah.
Anywho, let's never just talk about the songs.
For sure.
This question comes from Legacy. If you were to describe your musical tastes and how they have changed, what would you say? Like evolution of our musical tastes?
Oh well, if you all start from your childhood and think to now, like I think it grows because people are putting out new music all the time. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we stay as relevant as we can, and of course I grew up listening to just oldie station because that's what our babysitter,
Oh, yeah.
when our parents would be working, would have.
I don't know if my musical. I can't think of how they've changed or evolved.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
I just
the
like
thing.
what
is
I
like,
like.
it's like I don't think that like I don't feel like I'm ever like, oh, I didn't like. Oh, that's not true. Sometimes I go back to like like when I was a kid, like if it was a female singer, like it wasn't always like my favorite. Like I couldn't like relate to it. But like as an adult, like Regina
doesn't
Spektor's like
matter.
one of my
as
favorites.
a kid, I was always like, why are all these songs about love?
Yeah, also that like
Yeah.
why? Well, that's always been my like. Why is every song got to be about love?
So
It's
and now I'm
stupid.
like, okay, I get it. It's like the most powerful thing or whatever. But
yeah, but it's
can't they be about?
yeah, can't they be
a
about?
ship
And
captain?
also like movies. I was like, why does every movie have to have some love story? And like you just made it through this entire movie, and then you added like you're like, oh hey, here's this new character. And it's like no, you're like no, you almost had it. You almost had a movie with that one, but here it is.
I like political music. Like,
Really?
You know, I mean, you know, bands that are political. Like
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
Green Day. They're pretty political.
yeah.
And
Well, they're also like fueled by there's something
Yeah,
else, you know. It's
yeah.
like Bob Marley. Bob Marley's so popular because it was like there was a revolution in Jamaica, like at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're like he's not just singing songs of nothing.
know.
Like he's like singing songs of like
Yeah.
the cry of like everybody
Exactly.
who's around him.
I
So it
think
like
there's-
makes you feel something.
Yeah. I just like I have a fondness for bands that talk about bigger issues, like
Well-
because because they make it personal and emotional, but you know that they're talking about something important and big. And,
David Bowie said he wouldn't be a singer if he was born in any other generation.
yeah,
Because he wouldn't have been able to make the same impact that he did
Yeah.
when he was around. Because also there was a polarization of like protest music. So it's like, oh, you play protest music, you play that hippie dippy protest music. Like I don't want to hear nothing like that. So people go, okay, I'm not gonna speak about this, or I'm not gonna do this. It's like, but you know, when you're singing something that means something to you and means something to other people, it's always gonna be more
Yeah.
iconic and it has a greater chance
mean,
of standing the test
right.
of time.
More music than not is has a pretty personal meaning behind it. So
I think. I mean, I'm just trying to equate it to Steam Power Giraffe and their question and stuff, but like,
Oh yeah,
I think
yeah,
no, it's
sorry,
fine.
we were just talking
saying,
about
like,
our personal stuff.
no, it's no. I mean, I just want it. We just, but if you know you hear people say like, oh, is this what Steam Power Giraffe's going to sound like now? And like, we've always kind of done different stuff.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's like, what? We're not going to just make honeybees or Hot on the Trails
Yeah.
forever. Like, you're going to get a corny song because it's fun to make music.
yeah,
Right.
Like because how many times can you write the same thing? I'm sure some bands do that. So I don't know. Our tastes are eclectic, like anyone.
But is that not frustrating? It's frustrating for me to listen to a band that every song sounds the same.
And I like ice cream.
I'm like,
and I like
yeah.
and I like pizza, but I'm not gonna have pizza every day.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
All right. We've got one more question from Patreon.
Yo.
This one's from Alex. What's been your favorite part or parts of recording the newest music videos so far? Favorite part of recording?
Favorite part? Being behind the camera. If I'm behind the camera, I'm fine. I hate not being behind the camera.
Yeah.
But that's just because of control. But you know, when you edit something, you're like, boy, I wish I got it this way.
Yeah.
But Chelsea has done a great job anytime.
Sure did.
And it's nice to have someone who kind of like understands.
Yeah,
Who's got the eye for it too.
Yeah, I'm a dance photographer, and I haven't done a lot of video work, so I was a little nervous for being in
Camera's
charge
great,
of
though.
the camera work. But
we're not doing anything like
I know like how to frame things and stuff.
super
so.
complicated. Like when you look at the music videos, like anyone could do this. I'm like, but the point is that when you see people who can't do it, you don't want that person behind the camera.
Yeah.
Because we've had people, and I'm like, there's so much space above their head, and like you can do stuff in editing to crop it out and stuff. But when it's just like, yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And the hardest part I think is anytime there's a moving shot and you have to zoom, you have to focus at the same time.
That's
as
really
you're
hard.
going. I mean, it took we didn't even get it perfect for Yeah, and I think it's just and I was kind of getting the hang of it, and some of the shots were better than others, but the shots we shot, not only did we had to pick one that was in focus, but then also one that Bunny liked of the performance, and we couldn't get both. So it was like we defaulted to, okay, it's fine if it's blurry for a second.
Video is more nerve-wracking for me because like I'm used to taking pictures. I know how that works. But if something's out of focus, you just delete the picture and take another one. But with the video, I'm like, oh my God, they can't
The
do
shot
this.
is ruined.
They can't do this over and over. Like if this shot is blurry, we have to do it all again.
I'm
like,
worried
that's
about
why.
this one shot in one of these upcoming music videos I want to talk about because I'm pretty sure Steve has to be behind the camera.
Oh,
For just one shot because we need the whole band.
he's never done any video work.
I mean, he has, but I think anyone can learn it. It's just,
Yeah.
how much time can we devote to learning it?
Yeah.
I think
Also, we could just get somebody like some people.
I think being
Who can
able
come up with some
to
stuff.
have just with us having a test day ahead of any shoot, like it helps light.
that-
for
that
sure.
Because then it's not
really-
like, what do I have to do? Because
Well, it definitely calmed my nerves for Hot on the Trail. That was like the big one for me. I was so nervous for that because we had to do it all in one
shot,
take.
yeah.
And I was like really nervous about like, oh, I got to get the timing right. I have to be, straight ahead, like center in front of David by the end of the song for the pullback. And like, I was so nervous, but like it came out great. That was our first take.
Yeah, that was great. That was first take?
But we had, but we set up the day before
Yeah,
and
I
we
knew
got
that,
to run through it.
and the lighting, and if you're a Patreon patron, you'll see a little bit of those in the behind the scenes that I'm posting sometime in January, so next week maybe. But I also am going to post later like the full test run through that we did for lighting without makeup, and you can see that even that test we didn't quite get it right.
Yeah,
and that was the day before.
The camera starts to speed up near the end because I knew I wasn't going to hit my mark for the end, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta hurry!" Like, yeah.
So I mean, we ran through it a few times, but for the day of filming, we only did it the first time. But I mean, that goes to show like, the more prep you do, the better chance of success.
Lord.
I think we lucked out
So
because
true.
my first thought was like, oh, I forgot, I didn't do enough robot movements here I forgot to do this movement, or I forgot to do the arm shoulder for this thing.
Yeah.
But like now that I look at everyone's things,
looks
no one's talking about that stuff. I mean, they
Yeah.
could.
Well, they don't know. They don't know. You had an idea in your head. They would never ever know about it.
And that was shot on.
And you did enough movement to be like, well, I'm impressed already.
Yeah.
In the first like 30 seconds, I'm like, well, you can do whatever you want for the rest. I'm already impressed.
We shot that on a cell phone.
I know, which also I've been interested in because I feel like there's cool moving shots you can do with cell phones now that they're so like.
I mean that one's pretty good, but it doesn't have
heavy,
stabilization.
yeah.
It doesn't like this was stabilized a little bit, and I mean I did some color correction on it, but there wasn't much editing, and it's harder with that kind of camera, the one that I'm actually using for the Patreon recording right now, because why wouldn't we? We already have it, so but it doesn't do low light really well. If you're looking at
It's so heavy too.
it's also really heavy to try and hold. We did it for Don't Have a Name for It, and you can see it's kind of.
We had a harness. I had the harness on with holding the camera for a lot of the shots, and I don't have a name for it. And you can tell I'm struggling.
I mean, it wasn't. I think it was a shoulder one. It wasn't like a full body one.
No. It was like a shoulder thing.
But so if you're looking at the video of this podcast, if you're a Patreon, like we have a light at the camera, and then we just have normal lights here. But like the ISO and the f-stop or whatever, everything's like turned up as much as it will go, and this is as bright as it gets. And that's like. It's not super bright, so shooting something in low light, this camera is not very good at doing.
So I have one more bonus question from one of our engineer tier patrons. I don't know if you want to read that off.
Sure.
Before we close out.
How do you pronounce that name? Anasazi.
I would say Anasazi.
Anasazi.
I don't know.
Thoughts on Death Stranding?
You haven't played at all, have you?
I got to where you first get to kind of go out in the open world.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Make your first delivery.
The tutorial of the game is so long. It's so long to get started.
I haven't played it.
The story is awesome. I love the story in it, and I'm excited to explore. I did trade it back in. I'm like halfway through. I got past through, just like past the tutorial, got the bike, I got some other stuff.
I didn't
too.
get no bike.
So like, I was just getting started. I traded it back in because I didn't want to pay $50 for any games ever. But I'm gonna get it back because I really want to see what's going on with the story. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. It's like super calm, super relaxing, and you know exactly what it is when you get into it. So if you think that it's not going to be that, it is. You carrying boxes. Like get ready to carry boxes and scale like scale places. But it's like,
I hear the bad guys are pretty terrifying later in the game.
Oh, they're terrifying in the beginning of the game.
It only gets worse apparently.
They're terrifying in the beginning because you have no protection and you can't see anything. It's like it's all feeling and like everything's made to like kind of stress you out, and like you can't move fast, so like you gotta like slowly move through things. And but it's a beautiful game, and the music in it is super cool.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a movie.
Kojima definitely has like a filmmaker's kind of eye for stuff.
and here's the thing: is like that's totally where the entertainment industry is going. And seeing something like this just made it like all the more clear. Like you should see the amount of people who are in it and who are involved in it. You're like, what? Like you too? You in this too? Like it's. I mean, it looks beautiful, and I'm like, Like that's how I want to.
It's coming to PC, so I think I might hold off till the summer.
You should. Honestly, you should.
I own it already, but
Yeah. I mean,
But I think I'm like
you're gonna enjoy it a lot more on
I don't-
PC, being able to see it fully
Yeah.
all the full graphics that you have on your PC compared to your PlayStation.
I don't think
honestly.
I don't think I'm going to be replaying it a second time or anything.
No.
'Cause
I
I never
don't
did
think
that
so
with
either.
Metal Gear game. I never played the Metal Gear games again. I just played them all once to get, and then that was it.
No.
But this year, since it's the last end of the year, just to put a little game zone here. My game of the year this year is definitely Red Dead 2, even though it came out last year, but it came out a year later on PC, and I'm just on the part. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm in the epilogue of the game.
Oh wow! Okay, so you just getting.
Well, because we don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
But because I spent like time doing every side mission.
Did you do
every robbery?
Did you do good? Did you do good or bad?
I did good.
You did good.
I
Did
I was doing a bad run on Xbox, waiting for it to come out,
Yeah.
and then I was like,
So
this
hard.
is none of this is very as interesting.
It's
as it
not
so
as
hard to be
fun.
bad.
It's hard to be, but you feel bad about things.
Yeah.
But like also, I mean, having just doing a replay of it, it's like, all right, well,
Yeah.
it's so expensive. Number one, it's expensive to be bad because
Yeah.
you can't like hunt anything because you're getting hunted all the time by bounty hunters and stuff like that. But it is. It's not as different as like Witcher or something like that. You know, it's like where you're really getting like, oh, that character doesn't even exist anymore. Like, oh, okay, that I can't even go there at all. Like, I can't do this.
It's definitely a story that's going down the same path. It's just you're kind of shaping a little bit of the time.
Yeah, but I'm definitely into it because the
Yeah.
character development was so strong.
Yeah.
And like just like the little things in the cutscene, seeing from the good to the bad. It's just it's good dialogue. It's well written dialogue, like much better dialogue than any of the new Star Wars movie.
I like how I'm seeing that. We're seeing that tomorrow, right?
Really?
Star Wars?
No, 2 more days.
You'll
New
have
Year's
fun.
Day.
You'll have fun with it.
I mean, we have to just so I
You
can
have to see
get it
I
out of the way.
had to see- man, it was bizarre seeing it. But there's just so much like, oh, catch up, or like, let's tie that up.
Yeah.
It's like the dialogue in the first 45 minutes, I'm like, y'all need to hire somebody to write actual
my
dialogue
gosh.
instead of just asking questions and answering them and like saying random things. Like words mean nothing, nothing. So it's like,
for Rockstar stuff, I appreciate that they have faith in the player, the audience.
Yeah.
That they will sit through something boring if it's interesting.
If it's interesting.
Have a little faith.
Boring.
Yeah, because like I mean, there's people who'll be like, "Oh, it's so slow," but I think that most people, the reception is like their characters are so engaging.
Yeah.
Like
the people who are doing too slow on the cutscenes, those are the people who play Call of Duty, and you can play Call of Duty all you want, and you can play Madden all you want if that's what you want. But the people who are playing like third person, like adventure games, stuff like that, like they want a storyline. It doesn't make sense, and I think it's been proven like numerous times. Like if you don't focus on the story, your game is not going to do that well.
Sure.
Like it's pretty wild. It's pretty telling, I think.
Yeah,
because it's like the game dynamics are not that different than like an Assassin's Creed.
No.
Or something.
I mean,
They're very very similar missions, but it's just like investing that much time into a story and it makes your experience that much more immersive, and I think that's what people want.
I mean, after every cutscene, like if you know that character's going through something, it almost impacts the way you control the character.
Totally.
Because you're like, I guess I should do this. I should give him a bath. He deserves a bath.
You earned it. It was a rough going through that swamp, man.
Anyways,
I know we have to wrap up. Yeah.
Do you have anything to put on there?
No, I was going to talk about. I was going to just kind of like tout my favorite, my top TV series and movies of the year, but we need to wrap up.
We can quickly do it.
No.
What is it?
Watchmen.
Thanks for stealing mine. Watchmen,
Yeah.
The Witcher.
The Witcher. Yep.
And
really good.
I highly, highly recommend Succession, which I finally watched this year. They just finished season 2.
Oh, nice.
I haven't
so
done that
good.
one.
But Watchmen just
What about
blew me
that
away.
Deadwood movie? That was pretty good.
Oh, the Deadwood movie. Yeah. That
I
was
forgot
fun.
that came out this year.
Yeah, my top picks for movies of the year, I would say that I recommend are Rocket Man,
Ready to go.
Joker, and El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie.
Oh, that was really
great.
good.
That
was
was amazing.
Nice little tie-up.
Props to that team. They never fail.
I don't care what they make a
Me.
show of. I'll watch whatever.
Oh, so
like,
good.
With Better Call Saul and all that, like they just proven like that's just like the epitome of like
It's good
doesn't matter
storytelling.
what it's about. It's how
Yeah.
well it's told.
It's good.
I just
It's good
want to
storytelling.
shout out
for
to
sure.
my favorite movies and TV series of the year.
Jojo Rabbit, Parasite. Go see both those
I
movies.
saw
They're
Parasite
both
was really good
amazing.
too.
Yeah.
I have not seen Jojo Rabbit.
It's
I
Great.
really want to see
it's
that.
so much fun.
I haven't seen
And-
many movies this year, but I've been kind of disenchanted with the movies.
I understand. It's like there's a lot of money being put into a lot of careless storytelling, and I think that's why the movie industry is failing, and I think that's why video games and stuff like that are going to overtake it.
I want to see
Quite
that one
honestly.
movie, the 19 whatever.
1917.
Oh man, that is
one
really
shot.
good.
Yeah,
I don't know if the
One.
trailers kind of show it off, but that the film is made to
It's-
as if it's one
Are
continuous
you
shot.
going to see
Shot.
IMAX?
I don't know.
Yes.
I'm
If
gonna
it's
try
out in
to at
IMAX,
least.
yeah. It had a limited release for Christmas, but
Okay.
in January I'm going to be looking up showtimes.
It's one continuous shot.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like
that's the
insane.
idea of it, right?
I mean,
Anyway.
they had long shots that they actually shot, but they blend it together.
well, that's what's his face, Birdman.
just
Oh, yeah,
trying to
Birdman,
do something. Yeah.
They took my boy. They took my boy. The other movie.
God of War.
No, not God of War.
Oh.
Although they did take his boy Leonardo DiCaprio
I just heard
crawling
boy.
in the snow for
Oh yeah.
for crawling for his
Wait,
Oscar.
The Revenant.
Revenant. That guy. He loves the long shots.
I just heard boy and I thought God of War.
They
Speaking
took
of
my boy.
long shots, Hot on the Trail, one continuous
Yeah.
thing.
Yo, I love it. I'm like,
It's not as ambitious, but
Yeah.
it's still pretty. It's
Wow,
pretty.
It's-
we did
it's
that
dope. I
2
like it a lot.
hours today.
Cool.
Yeah, let's get
Happy
moving.
2019. Happy 2020, everyone.
We'll see you. it is 2020 when you're listening.
It is
Yeah.
right now. Happy right now.
Happy
it's
New
the future.
Year.
Look at my future glasses. I'm in the future.
Brian just put his headset over his eyes, if in case you're
I'm
only
the
listening to the audio.
future. I'm Cyclops.
Wait, we have to. No, we don't.
Where's Gene?
Let's break tradition.
Oh.
Where's
we don't
Gene?
we don't have to do an outro song.
It's the podcast, and from Bennettarium Draft, it's the Bennettarium. We did some stuff, and we got lots of popcorn on the Bennettarium. Hot dog gets the Bennettarium, and I'm future Stevie Wonder.
His eyes are covered by the headset. That's
And also,
you can't
I've got dreadlocks, and like a similar mustache beard set. There's a whole lot of things that reminded me of like music of my mind, Stevie Wonder, and or Hotter Than July, Stevie Wonder. I'll get some bees in my hair later. We'll talk about Stevie Wonder all day on the podcast, the Stevie Wonder podcast, Stevie Wonder podcast.